Good morning. Kind of decided I like these delay starts on some of these earlier, or on some of these smaller trials. So we're ready to go here, and they got a late start, so we don't have quite so much catching up to go. Here we go.
Good morning. Please be seated. When we concluded the session yesterday, the court had been informed that there had been a possible disclosure of an evaluation report. The court ordered sealed yesterday. The court indicated that the state, who had indicated to the court that a note was passed to the state, would investigate to find out from whom the note came, how that person would know whether there was a violation of the court order to seal, and any other information that the court would, or rather the state could develop concerning the allegation yesterday. So the court will hear from the state.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court. Judge, we were able to conduct an investigation in the evening hours last night, and we were able to speak with the witness who passed the note, Ms. Carrie Love. She provided a written statement to our office late last night. Additionally, we were able to pull footage from YouTube, which corroborated Ms. Love's statement. There were additional witnesses to what occurred as well from the state's attorney's office. I'll just indicate, Your Honor, that our investigation has revealed the following: that the defendant absolutely had the sealed report on her computer screen, that it was being displayed in violation of a court order, and that the defendant's mother attempted to prevent her from being discovered as having violated that order by tapping her on the shoulder and bringing it to her attention that we were about to address it with the court. And so that's what our investigation has revealed. Now, we were prepared to go forward this morning with the contempt hearing, if that was the court's pleasure. The court has indicated to us that it doesn't wish to take it up at this time due to the fact that we do have a jury that is waiting, and we are trying to get to a resolution of this case. But it is amazing that nearly 5 years after Jennifer Dulos' death, that this defendant still will not let her rest in peace. Judge, we're asking that the defendant's mother be ejected from the remainder of the proceedings. This is not the first time that we have brought an issue concerning the defendant's mother to the court's attention. Now, the first time we brought it up, we did it at sidebar. We indicated that we received information that the defendant's mother was mouthing to the jury. We indicated that we didn't wish to make a spectacle of it. Counsel assured us that they would speak with the mother. And I know the court recalls that conversation. And now this is the second incident in which the defendant's mother has injected herself into the proceedings in a very inappropriate way. And I'll just indicate, I'm expecting some argument. Well, the Farber family blows kisses at people and makes hearts at people, things of this nature. First I'm hearing of it this morning. And we've spoken with them in the interim. But this is now a second strike for the defendant's mother. And I'm asking that the court eject her from the remainder of the proceedings. Her conduct is inappropriate. And the fact that she tried to prevent the defendant from getting caught by tapping her on the shoulder, and then the YouTube clip, you'll see the defendant immediately takes action with respect to her computer. So I don't make this request lightly, Judge. I have to say I've been practicing law for nearly 15 years, and this is the first time that I think I've ever made such a request. But this is beyond the pale, and I'm asking that the court do something about it, pending the contempt proceeding.
Your Honor, Attorney McGinnis's comments revealed just how highly charged this trial has been and how much emotion there's been in the courtroom. We have taken steps to avoid and ignore any negative interaction and to try to focus on the evidence in this case and on ensuring that the evidence goes before the jury without any interruption. As Your Honor knows, we've talked repeatedly to the media to ensure that they were not able to pick up anything on our computer screens, anything that was on our table of evidentiary value. I have confirmed with them that in fact, they have taken those steps. They've complied repeatedly and ensured that they've been in compliance with the court's orders. As far as if we are addressing today, Mr. Troconis' mother being in court, we did talk to her about the allegations last time. We did not know that she was making any inappropriate movements, gestures, signals in any way. And we have no evidence other than a statement from Jennifer Farber Dulos' friends and family that in fact occurred. I do not understand why the state is suggesting that any interaction that Mr. Troconis' mother had with her about putting something on her screen, taking something off of her screen, has to do with avoiding getting caught for something. That's just an inference that doesn't seem to be based on anything that I've heard so far. I know Your Honor is taking up those allegations at another time. However, what I will address right now is the fact that there have been other interruptions and disruptions and comments that have been made in the courtroom galley that we ignored and will continue to ignore. We don't feel the need to put anything on the record. We've addressed it with Your Honor in chambers. I don't know why that needed to be put on the record now, but rest assured, Your Honor, we've taken steps to speak to Michelle Troconis' family, to speak to Michelle, and ensure that there are no further disruptions. Her computer is not here today because I'm not going to be focusing on what somebody has or doesn't have on their computer. We need to listen to the evidence and ensure that what's supposed to come in before the jury comes in and what's supposed to stay out stays out.
Thank you. This court makes every effort to conduct proceedings in a fair and efficient and dignified manner. This court makes every effort to show counsel and the defendant respect. What the court is not going to countenance are competing pep rallies like you have in high school. The defendant supporters and the state supporters. This is not high school. The court is not going to become a hallway monitor. So if there are efforts to communicate with a jury or a witness, you will be removed. No hearing, just removed. There will be no computer use other than by counsel in the courtroom. There will be no communication with the gallery at any time. There will be no attempts to show your approval or disapproval of a witness's testimony, or you will be removed. Court is not going to take up a formal contempt hearing today. The court will schedule a contempt hearing at the earliest after the defense rests. That's at the earliest. Are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge, we have one witness, and then we have Detective Kimball, and we're going to be playing the third interview in its entirety. I believe it's 3 hours and 50 minutes. I gave another copy to the defense last night. So I know the court is going to be taking additional breaks, but I just want to let the court know what we have on schedule for today.
Thank you. We can bring the jury out, please. Would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the state call Scott Grinrod to stand, please. please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Scott Renrock, SCOTT, last name Renrock, GRIND.
Sir, you may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, good, how are you?
By whom are you employed, sir?
M&T Bank.
Now, did that used to be People's Bank?
Yes, it was People's Bank until 2022 when they merged.
How long have you worked well, did you work for People's Bank as well as M&T?
Yeah, I was hired by People's in 2015, May.
And with the merger to M&T Bank, did you retain your employment with that company?
Yes, I did.
What is your role with the company?
I'm a security representative currently.
Okay, what are some of your duties and responsibilities?
Currently, as a security representative, I oversee the branches, but with People's, we did all the video, all the alarm codes, all the card access program. We ran all of that out of the command center.
Where is Command Center?
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Well, how many people do you work with respect to all the videos from the branches?
There was only 3 of us in the command center. We worked 24/7.
And were you working in that role in 2019?
Yes, I was.
Was that also at the Command Center?
Yes, in Bridgeport.
Did that, Command Center encompass a bank branch in Avon, Connecticut?
Yes, it did.
Would that be People's Bank off of West Main Street?
Yes, it was.
Is there a video surveillance on that ATM at what was People's Bank on West Main Street?
Yes, there was.
And are you familiar with that area, sir?
Yes,
Okay, and are you familiar with the video surveillance at that ATM?
yes, I am.
In what way?
Just viewing it as needed during different transactions as asked.
Now, in 2019, sir, was a request made to download a video from that bank branch
Yes, there was.
for May 29th, 2019?
Yes,
And were you present when that download occurred?
yes, I was.
And did you view the video at that time?
Yes, I did.
If I may just have one moment.
Yes.
Your Honor, State offering 147. I don't believe there's an objection. I'd move it in at this time.
That's correct. What is the number, please?
147.
147 admitted as full.
Thank you. So I'm going to have you take a look at either the screen in front of you or right behind you. And open a file marked People's Bank. Sir, do you recognize what's depicted on the screen?
Yes, that's Avon's branch. And that'd be the camera coming up to the ATM.
And the date and time, sir?
It was Wednesday, May 29th at 2:31 PM.
And the player that it's being played on, is that the player that was used in 2019?
Yes, the visual intelligence.
Is the time correct, sir?
Yes, it is.
Is there a way, well, let me ask you this, at the command center, did you have access to all the video surveillance in Connecticut for the banks?
Yeah, we had access to all of Connecticut, all of New England, all the branches that people owned.
Was the time synced for all of the videos?
Yes, what it is, a DVR goes into the server inside the branch. That branch is connected to the People's Bank United server in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And that's how you get your date and time.
I'm gonna have you take a look at the video, please. Thank you. Actually, just gonna pause it there, sorry. Is that the view from the ATM machine at the bank?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and this vehicle, is this a drive-up ATM?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and inside the view, the individual reaching out, is he reaching towards an ATM machine or what is he reaching towards?
Yeah, he's reaching directly at the ATM machine.
And the passenger side where the female is located, is there any bank incident or bank camera that focuses on that side of the vehicle?
No, there's not.
If I can, I'll just finish playing the video. Thank you very much. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
I just have a couple of questions, and may I just ask you to leave the,
Do you want to pick this up?
yeah, just put up that same stop portion. I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
So we can just. All right, that'll be a good place to stop it. This car is reflecting something that is where the camera, is, correct?
Correct.
And that's the screen for the ATM, right?
Correct.
So when you see the driver there reaching out, he's actually, it's a push screen, correct? Like touch screen?
Right. And
And then it looks like in the reflection, he put his ATM card into the machine that we're sort of seeing in a reflection of the side of the car, correct? In
Correct.
reverse.
Correct.
Okay. In order to find this particular clip, did you have to look for a particular client account?
No, we were given a date and a time period. Obviously, when the transaction occurred, and that's what we marked.
Oh, and did you also, however, look into or try to obtain the account information, so what the transaction was?
We don't have access to accounts.
Oh, okay. So what you did was was
Was-
just get the camera,
Exactly.
you then downloaded that and then provided it, right?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is there a redirect?
No, sir, thank you.
So you may step down.
Thank you, sir.
If I may just return this to the clerk, Your Honor.
Judge, just before I call my next witness, I wanted to put something on the record, and I did bring this to the court's attention yesterday, just for the jury's benefit. When I was examining Kristen Maydell back on February 5th, I asked her the following question. This is from page 16 of that transcript, but I want you to assume the following facts are true. I want you to assume that the defendant in her third interview with the police indicated to them that she had held a bag open for Mr. Dulos as he deposited something in the bag. Is it possible that her DNA could have gotten on the bag as she was holding it? Answer, yes, that's possible. We know that if you come in contact with something, it is possible for you to leave your own DNA behind on an item. Judge, I misspoke when I gave that particular hypothetical about what the defendant said in her third interview, and I just wanted to apologize to the court. It was inadvertent, but obviously because I misspoke, that hypothetical should be stricken and the jury should be instructed to disregard it. They're going to hear exactly what was said in a moment. So
What the court intends to do is, in its instructions to the jury, remind the jury of that part of the evidence that the state wishes to be stricken.
yes, sir. I just wanted to put it on the record.
Thank you.
The state calls Detective John Kimball.
You're still under oath, Detective Kimball, so you may be seated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I just have some exhibits marked for
Yes.
identification? morning.
Morning, Attorney
Welcome
McGinnis.
back.
Thank you.
Detective, where we had left off, you indicated that the defendant had participated in a third interview with the state police. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Did the Connecticut State Police continue to investigate the disappearance of Jennifer Dulos during the summer of 2019?
Yes, we did.
And did the Connecticut State Police learn additional information as the summer progressed?
Yes, we did.
Were arrangements made for the defendant and her attorney, Andrew Bowman, to come into Troop G for a third interview with police?
Yes.
Who was present for this third interview?
It was myself, Detective Corey Clabby, the defendant, and her attorney, Andrew Bowman.
Was it recorded?
It was, yes.
Where in Troop G was it recorded?
It was recorded in an interview room adjacent to the major crime office.
Now, before we get to the third interview, I want to discuss with you some of the information that you learned between the defendant's June 6th interview and the August 13th interview. Is that all right?
Absolutely, yes.
And I just want to be clear to the court, I'm not offering this for the truth, merely to set up the course of the interview and what they learned in between. I want to direct your attention to a Toyota Tacoma owned by Mr. Pavel Gumini.
Yes.
Did you learn additional information about that Tacoma during the course of the investigation between the second and third interview?
Yes, we did.
What did you learn?
So amongst other things, we learned that we have video of the Tacoma traveling to and from New Canaan on the day of Jennifer's murder, May 24th.
Your Honor, I am going to object to this as being sort of a summary of what is somewhat contested evidence. So it's hearsay. And what he learned, he can certainly talk about the subjects, but to go into the details, I submit is hearsay. And himself that even did these kind of stuff.
Well, the offer is phrased this way. We learned. Now, that could mean from personal knowledge we observed. It could mean during the course of the investigation, more information was developed. The offer essentially is going to what the state police decided to do as a result of further investigation. And so the court is going to overrule the objection.
And I would just also note, I would also object in grounds of relevancy and materiality because it's allowing this witness to summarize the police investigation rather than the jury deciding based on what the evidence has.
So the state can present its evidence the way the state wants to present its evidence.
Very well.
Overruled.
You indicated that there was information that the Tacoma had gone back and forth to New Canaan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you also receive additional DNA results during the course of the summer?
We did.
And were there any DNA results that were of note with respect to the defendant?
Yes, we received a DNA result that indicated that Michelle Troconis' DNA was present on one of the bags seized from Albany Avenue.
I'm going to also object, that's a mischaracterization. There was a partial.
Well, now, if an objection is an objection,
Yeah.
and testimony not under oath is testimony not under oath. Overruled.
Just to be clear, you received a DNA report which indicated that there was a likelihood that Michelle Troconis was a contributor to a profile found on a garbage bag. Is that correct?
That is accurate, yes.
With respect to, was there also an additional DNA report from evidence taken from the Tacoma?
Yes, a blood-like substance swatch was removed from one of the seats in the Tacoma, and the DNA results for testing of that swatch indicated that it was consistent with the DNA from Jennifer Dulos.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Did you also learn information about an establishment known as Russell Speeder's Car Wash?
Yes,
What did you learn about that?
we learned that on Wednesday, May 29th, Michelle Troconis and Fotis Dulos went to Russell Speeder's where the Tacoma was dropped off to have it detailed.
And with respect to Pavel Gumini, did he provide a police interview as well in the interim between the second and third interview?
Yes, he did on July 12th.
And did he provide you information with respect to who had his keys on May 24th, 2019?
He did.
And what did he indicate about his keys to the state police?
In that interview, he indicated that on the day of Jennifer's murder,
Objection.
Well,
I'd ask that that be stricken. first of
well,
all.
the witness is indicating what Mr. Gomeni said.
I don't claim the portion which I think Mr. Schoenhorn is objecting to. Perhaps I can just sharpen my question.
Yes.
He indicated
And that's that it's stricken.
that's fine. He indicated on May 24th, all right, about his keys. All right, can you just tell the jury what he indicated to state police about his Tacoma keys?
He indicated that on May 24th, his keys from his Tacoma went missing, and that when he.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is now not only hearsay, but it's mischaracterization of his test.
Well, counsel, you have cross-examination concerning what may be considered to be a mischaracterization. This officer is testifying about what the investigation yielded, such that certain areas were going to be explored at the third interview. They're not being offered for the truth as the court understands it.
No, but his understanding of what he thinks the other people said, no, it's not relevant or material.
Counsel, the court's view of the evidence is that these areas of inquiry concern what concerned the state police at that third interview.
That's correct. Judge.
Overruled.
You may answer.
So in his interview, Pavel Gouini indicated that when he was leaving 80 Mountain Spring, he saw his keys. When he returned to 80 Mountain Spring with Fotis Dulos, the keys to the Tacoma were not there, and that Michelle Troconis eventually brought the keys back to 80 Mountain Spring.
And that was all information that you learned between the defendant's June 6, 2019 interview and the August 13, 2019 interview. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And were those some of the subject matters that you sought to address with her in that August 13th interview?
Yes.
I want to now direct your attention to a restraining order application that was filed by the defendant. Are you familiar with that application?
Yes, I am.
Your Honor, I think we should have a sidebar at this point. Let's mark it. I think we need to have a little discussion about this.
Defense objection is sustained.
Detective Kimball, as part of your investigation, well, have you reviewed residential surveillance footage in connection with this case?
Yes.
I have what has been marked as State's Exhibit 148, Your Honor, which is a disc. I should indicate to the court that this disc is essentially a composite of evidence which has already been admitted, specifically Exhibits 84, 90, and 92, and also includes some screenshots from those exhibits. So I'd offer that this time.
Yeah, I haven't finished, but it appears that I have no objection. So if suddenly there's one that I hadn't thought or that's improperly on here, I'll bring it up. But so far, I'm not finding any reason to object. It's just that there's many.
Thank you. 148.
Yes, sir.
148 admitted as fault.
Detective Kimball, just before I play 148, firstly, are you familiar with the addresses of 1 Jefferson Crossing, 77 Mountain Spring Road, and 77 Eli Road?
Yes, I am.
And can you just indicate to the jury what town those addresses are located in?
Those are in Farmington.
And as part of the investigation, residential surveillance footage was seized, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And I believe there were, in some instances, multiple days that were seized. Is that correct? Multiple days? of
Yes,
footage?
that's correct.
All right. Well, we're going to focus today on May 24th, 2019. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm actually going to ask if you wouldn't mind, you're going to be on your feet for a little bit, right? That's fine? All right. So Judge, within States 148, which is a disc labeled Kimball 2/16/2024, there is a number of clips and still images. And I'm just going to begin, they're numbered 1 through 36. And I'm just going to begin with clip number 1, if we could just open it and pause it so that we can orient the jury. So Detective Kimball, I'm just going to ask, could you just orient the jury in terms of what address this is seized from? And can you also orient the jury as to the time?
Sure, absolutely. This video is seized from 77 Mountain Spring Road, which is this property here. It shows the entrance in the upper right to 80 Mountain Spring Road. South is in this direction. North is in this direction to the left, where 4 Jefferson Crossing is located. You have timeline, or excuse me, a timestamp up top. That timestamp is inaccurate. It is 1 day, 24 hours, and 10 minutes fast. So it's reading 5/25/2019. It is actually 5/24/2019, and the time is reading 12:32 p.m. The time is actually 12:22 p.m. So anytime you see this, you have to remember that you have to go back 1 day and 10 minutes in time, and that's the actual time.
So I'm just going to play it at this point. Detective Kimball, was there anything of investigatory interest to you in this clip?
Absolutely. In the upper right-hand corner, the gray or white driveway to 80 Mount Spring is shown. And at 12:22 on the 24th of May, we see a vehicle matching or consistent with the description of the Toyota Tacoma arriving, pulling into the property from the south.
Incidentally, Detective, I should have asked you this earlier, but during your third interview with the defendant, did she ever indicate to you which vehicle she was driving on May 24th, 2019 in the afternoon?
Sheriff Troconis indicated she was driving the white Jeep Cherokee.
And I'm just going to pull up now file number 2, labeled 2/1:32 p.m. 77 Eli. All right. So can you just orient the jury to what we're looking at here?
Absolutely. This is surveillance from 77 Eli Road. So Mountain Spring is to the south, and the next road up to the north is Jefferson Crossing. So north is to the left, south is to the right. We're looking at Eli Road.
Now, I want to direct your attention to the white vehicle in the top center of the photograph. What type of vehicle is that?
That appears to be a white Jeep Cherokee.
All right, you indicated the defendant said she was operating a white Jeep Cherokee.
That's correct.
And in case I missed it,
Oh, I did, yeah.
To the right is 80 Mountain.
80 Mountain would be to the right, to the south, and Jefferson Crossing would be to the left, to the north.
And this is 1:32 p.m., is that correct?
That's correct. This, the timestamp is down here. It's really probably not readable to the jury. This-
Your Honor, I'm not going to do this for each one, but what it appears that this is all evidence that's already in. We now have a witness who wasn't there, who didn't even collect it.
But what's the objection? What's the grounds?
The objection is it's based on hearsay, it's irrelevant, and it's already in evidence, and therefore it's a waste of time to have this witness re-describe evidence that's already been testified.
Well, the court understands this entire offer to encompass what areas were going to be explored with the defendant at the third interview. Now, if the state represents that these areas will not be explored with the defendant at the third interview, then this is a needless presentation of cumulative evidence. If the state indicates these areas are going to be explored with the defendant at the third interview, the court would overrule the objection.
The trips back and forth from 80 Mountain to 4 Jefferson Crossing were absolutely explored during the third interview. And I also just want to respond to the hearsay objection. The defendant's words are not hearsay, they're admissions by a party opponent, and so that objection is not well taken. She indicated that she was driving the Jeep Cherokee.
I'm not objecting, let me be clear. I'm not objecting to that. I'm objecting to this witness describing what he was told about what's in these videos.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
The court has
That's-
articulated its reasons for overruling the objection.
Next clip is 3. All right. Is this still 77 Eli Road?
This is still 77 Eli Road.
And what is the time, sir?
The timestamp down here is 13:33, which is 1:33 p.m. on May 24th.
And there appears to be a black SUV type vehicle in the photograph. Do you recognize that vehicle?
I do.
And what is that vehicle, sir?
A vehicle is consistent with the Chevrolet Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos.
And how do you know that?
The general appearance of the vehicle, the Thule rack on the top, and there is a magnetic four-group sign adhered to the front passenger door.
And incidentally, during your third interview with the defendant, did she indicate that she was driving the white Jeep Cherokee and Mr. Dulos was driving the Suburban?
Yes,
And that's the Suburban.
yes.
And now we're going to play file number 4. I'm just going to play it and then I'll ask you about it. Okay, firstly, what address is this taken from?
This is surveillance from 77 Mountain Spring showing 80 Mountain Spring Road.
And in that particular clip that we just watched, what did you see of investigatory interest?
So just to remind the jury, north is up here, Jefferson Crossing is up here. The time is 5/24/2019, 1:36 p.m. And what I saw was a white Jeep Cherokee coming from the direction of 4 Jefferson Crossing, pulling into the driveway of 80 Mountain Spring, and less than a minute later, a black Chevy Suburban coming from the direction of 4 Jefferson Crossing, pulling in 80 Mountain Spring Road.
Number 5. What are we looking at here, sir?
We're again looking from 77 to 80 Mountain Spring Road.
And what is the time here?
The time here is 1:41 p.m.
All right. And I want to direct your attention to the upper right-hand portion of the photo. Do you see that white vehicle?
I do, sir.
Now, this is obviously a still shot. However, can you just explain to the jury why this is significant to the investigation?
This is the white Jeep Cherokee leaving 80 Mountain Spring at 1:41 p.m., turning right towards 4 Jefferson Crossing.
So this is roughly how long after the vehicle has arrived?
You asked me to do math. Oh my God.
Maybe it'd be easier, just go to the other, go back to the clip.
From 36 to 41. All right. Five minutes.
Okay. And is this from 77 Eli Road, number 6?
Yes, this is.
And what's the time?
It's in the lower hood. I believe it's 1:45
Okay.
PM on the
And,
24th.
All right, and I want to direct your attention to the vehicle in the upper left-hand portion of the photograph. What type of vehicle is that?
Appears to be a white Jeep Cherokee.
And what direction is it headed?
It's coming from the direction of 80 Mountain Spring, traveling north towards Fort Jefferson Crossing.
Clip number 7. All right, we're still at 77 Eli Road here, file number 7, or image number 7, I should say.
Yes,
And what is the time?
it's 1:58 PM.
And directing your attention specifically to the vehicle. What type of vehicle does that appear to be?
That appears to be a white Jeep Cherokee.
And is it heading in the general direction of 80 Mountain Spring Road?
It's heading from the direction of Jefferson Crossing towards 80 Mountain Spring.
And this is image 8. And we're back at 77 Mountain Road, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what's the time, sir?
2:01 PM.
And was there anything of investigative significance in this image?
Noted a vehicle consistent with a white Jeep Cherokee coming from the direction of Fort Jefferson, pulling into the driveway of 80 Mountain Spring Road.
All right, and we're going to move on to number 9. Still at 77 Mountain in this clip.
That's correct.
What are we looking at?
So we're looking at a vehicle consistent with a white Jeep Cherokee pulling out of the driveway of 80 Mountain Spring, turning right, traveling north towards Fort Jefferson Crossing.
And what's the date and time here?
Date would be 5/24/2019 at 20:25 at this point.
All right, I'm not going to ask you to do math this time, but just go to the next clip. This is image number 10. We're back at 77 Eli,
That's correct.
and directing your attention to the vehicle. What type of vehicle does that appear to be?
Appears to be a white Jeep Cherokee.
And maybe for the final time, we'll just orient the jury. As vehicles are going right to left in this photograph, they'll be heading in the general direction of Fort Jefferson Crossing. Is that correct?
They're going from right to left. Yes, correct. 80 Mountain Spring is to the right, Jefferson Crossing is to the left.
And did I ask you the time?
You did not, but it appears to be 2:28 PM.
All right, pause. All right, I'm just going to pause it there. Just if you could just orient the jury to what we're looking at here.
All right. So this is Jefferson Crossing Road. Eli Road is off to the right. This road runs east-west. This residence right here is Fort Jefferson Crossing, where Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis resided together. This is from the perspective of 1 Jefferson Crossing, the residence directly across the street, looking south at 4.
And I believe this is the Swanson's residence. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And if we just play the clip. Actually, just before, we could just pause it at 13 seconds. I want to just orient the jury to Fort Jefferson Crossing here, if we could. Fort Jefferson Crossing has multiple chimneys. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right, I want to direct your attention to the chimney on the far left. If you could just point that out for the jury. And you're indicating with your right index finger, basically the dead center in the photograph. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there any smoke coming out of the chimney?
There does not appear to be any smoke coming out of that east chimney. And the time is 2:30.
Incidentally, is this a motion activated camera, if you know?
Yes, this is a ring camera, so this camera only activates when there's motion within a close proximity to the camera.
Understood. And we're just going to go on to image number 12. All right, with respect to image number 12, we're still at 1 Jefferson Crossing, is that correct?
Correct, looking at 4 Jefferson Crossing.
All right, just going to play the clip now, and I'm going to ask if you could focus on that chimney. you see anything coming out of the chimney?
Your Honor, I have to object. The jury can see whatever they can see. What this witness says or how he's going to interpret what's in these videos is, I suggest, his lay opinion. The jury is perfectly able to see whatever it is that is in the video.
Well, the court agrees with counsel's objection, but the issue of the chimney apparently is part of the state's case. So the court is going to allow the specificity concerning the chimney, but the observation is up to the jury.
All right, if we could just replay that. And I'll ask you again, do you see smoke coming out of the chimney? All right, and if you could just indicate with your right index finger where it is.
Chimney's right there.
Detective Kimball, just while that video is playing, would this have been before or after that vehicle consistent with the white Jeep Cherokee was observed heading back in the general direction of 4 Jefferson Crossing?
This video was after the white Jeep Cherokee was seen heading towards Fort Jefferson.
And image 13 in that same photo? Is this still 1 Jefferson Crossing?
Yes, it is.
And does there appear to be smoke?
There does not appear to be smoke rising from that chimney. The time for this is 3:12 p.m.
And now we're going to go to 14. And just direct your attention back to that same chimney. Does there appear to be smoke?
This is 3:25 p.m. and there appears to be smoke coming out of the east chimney of Fort Jefferson Crossing.
Incidentally, when you spoke with the defendant on August 13th, did she indicate to you whether or not she ever returned to 4 Jefferson Crossing after having initially gone to 80 Mountain Spring Road?
She indicated she did, yes.
And did she tell you where Mr. Dulos was during that time period?
She indicated when she was returning to Fort Jefferson, Mr. Dulos remained at 80 Mountain Spring.
Image number 15. All right, so we're back at 70 Lie, is that correct?
That's correct.
What's the time?
3:53 p.m.
And directing your attention to the vehicle displayed in the photograph, what does that vehicle appear to be?
Appears to be a white Jeep Cherokee
And it's heading in the direction of 80 Mountain, is that correct?
coming away from Fort Jefferson, heading towards 80 Mountain Spring Road.
And we're back at 77 Mountain in image.
That's
number-
correct, looking at 80.
I think this is image 16. All right, so what's the date and the time here?
The corrected date is 5/24/2019. The corrected time would be 3, at this point, 3:56 p.m.
And the first vehicle that went by in the video, what did that vehicle appear to be?
Appeared to be a white Jeep Cherokee.
And where did it go?
It came from Fort Jefferson Crossing, the direction of, and it entered the driveway of 80 Mountain Spring Road.
Number 17. All right, so that is 77 Mountain Spring Road, correct?
Correct.
And the corrected time is May 24th, 2019 at about 4:03 PM. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And can you indicate to the jury whether or not you witnessed any vehicles exiting the 80 Mountain Spring Road driveway?
Yes, a vehicle consistent with the black Chevy Suburban exited 80 Mountain Spring, took a right on the Mountain Spring Road, traveling north towards Fort Jefferson Crossing.
Incidentally, during your third interview with the defendant, did she ever indicate to you whether or not she drove the black Suburban back to Fort Jefferson Crossing?
Yes, she indicated that she had parked the white Jeep Cherokee, and because of the way she parked it, she needed to take the black Chevy Suburban. So she indicated she did take the Chevy Suburban at some point.
This is image 18. Back at 77 Eli, directing your attention to the date and time, please.
Date 5/24/2019, time is 4:07 PM.
And directing your attention to the vehicle. Do you know which vehicle that is?
That appears to be the Chevy Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos. You have the vehicle description and you have the Thule on top,
And it's heading back towards Fort Jefferson
and it's
Crossing.
heading from 80 towards Fort Jefferson.
Image 19. What time and date is image 19?
Date is 5/24/2019, the time is 4:20 PM.
And I want to direct your attention to the vehicle. What vehicle is that?
This appears to be the Chevy Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos. You have the general vehicle appearance, the Thule rack, and on the right-hand passenger door, the four-group magnetic sign. And it's coming from the direction of Fort Jefferson, heading towards 80 Mountain Spring.
Image 20. So image 20, we're back at 77 Mountain, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the corrected time, May 24, 2019 at approximately 4:23 in the afternoon.
Correct.
I want to direct your attention to the vehicle that drove by. Which vehicle did that appear to be and where did it go?
That appeared to be the black Chevy Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos, coming from the direction of Fort Jefferson Crossing and driving into.
Characterizing who was driving it, he could only describe the vehicle, but he's now narrating his own opinion, which is not even separate than
Well, the court heard the testimony as, perhaps the court didn't hear it correctly, owned by Fotis Dulos.
Oh, I'm sorry, I withdraw my objection.
And just to clarify, the defendant actually indicated to you that she went to 80 Mountain Spring Road with the Suburban at some point. Is that
That's correct, yes.
Or excuse me, Fort Jefferson with the Suburban.
Went from 80 to Fort Jefferson, yes.
We plan to take the recess in 5 minutes.
Yes, Judge, I will try to, I'll endeavor to finish this. Sorry. This is image 21. Excuse me. Image 21 is this corrected date is May 24, 2019 at 4:58 PM, correct?
That's correct.
And directing your attention to the vehicle in the image. What vehicle does that appear to be?
Appears to be the 2014 Ford Raptor owned by Fotis Dulos.
And it's turning into 80 Mountain?
And it's starting in 80 Mountain Road, coming from the north, coming from the direction of Fort Jefferson.
All right. And image 22A, you just indicate to the jury what we're looking at here?
This is from 77 Mount Spring looking at 80. And what I see is what appears to be the Raptor having pulled out of the 80 Mount Spring Road driveway, turning right and traveling north towards Fort Jefferson.
And did you say the date and time?
Date 5/24/2019, time 5:02 PM.
Image 22B. Corrected date and time, May 24, 2019 at 5:02 PM. I want to direct your attention to the upper right-hand portion of the photograph. Could you just indicate to the jury what we're looking at there?
I see what appears to be the white Jeep Cherokee backing out of 80 Mountain Spring Road onto Mountain Spring Road facing north.
22C.
This is the same camera looking at 80. Jeep Cherokee apparently is stationary on Mountain Spring Road, and the black Chevy Suburban is pulling forward out of 80 Mountain Spring Road.
22D.
Looking at 80 Mountain Spring, the black Chevy Suburban has turned right out of 80 Mountain Spring Road and is heading at 5:03 p.m. It's heading northbound towards Fort Jefferson Crossing. The white Jeep Cherokee remains stationary, parked on Mountain Spring Road facing north.
And the defendant indicated to you during her interview that Mr. Dulos was driving the Suburban at this point. Is that correct? Or what did she say about that?
She indicated that he was driving the Suburban, that she was driving the Jeep, and that Pavel Valeni had been driving the Raptor.
Number 23. What are we looking at here?
This is 1 Jefferson Crossing, looking across the street at 4 Jefferson Crossing at 5:03 p.m.
And does there appear to be any smoke coming out of that chimney?
There does not appear to be any smoke rising from the east chimney.
Just want to direct your attention in the same clip to this young man's garments. What does he appear to be wearing?
Your Honor, I'm gonna check again.
Relevant.
Relevance and previously shown.
Well, I'll tell you, the relevance, Judge, is that I don't know too many people that are having a fire on a day like this. So that's the relevance of it.
Well,
It's a runner.
the court is going to sustain the objection.
Very well, Judge. This is image 24. What are we looking at here?
This is 77 Eli. We're looking at vehicle that appears to be the white Jeep Cherokee traveling north from 80 Mountain Spring, or from the direction of 80 Mountain Spring towards Fort Jefferson Crossing.
And this would have been after the vehicles had left 80 Mountain Spring that we saw earlier, correct?
Yes, this was 5:06 p.m., approximately 3 minutes later.
The court's going to stand in the morning recess. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not discuss the case.
Taking a recess every hour? I don't think so. However,
Well, when does the state, well, of course, there's cross-examination. If the state started the interviews at 12 o'clock, did it intend to inquire of the witness during the course of the interview?
yes, sir.
So the entire interview probably will not be. So we'll stand in our recess until about, well, let's call it 11:50. Stand in a recess. We can bring it here. Thank you.
Wait, you left off at 24?
Counsel stipulate, please.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
Kimball, I believe we left off at image 24, so we're going to pick it back up to 25. I just want to indicate the 77 Mountain Spring Road exhibit is 81, not 84. All right. All right, image 25, what are we looking at here, sir?
This is 77 Mountain Spring looking at 80. And we have a vehicle consistent, the time is 5:14. The vehicle shown is consistent with Ford Raptor coming from the direction of Fort Jefferson. And it's going to pull in at 80 Mountain Spring Road.
This is 77 Eli, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And what's the time here?
5:21 p.m.
And can you indicate for the jury what vehicle is displayed in this image?
Appears to be the Chevrolet Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos.
And what direction is it headed?
It's coming from Fort Jefferson, heading towards 80 Mountain Spring.
Image 27. We're back at 77 Mountain Road, is that correct?
That's correct.
What's the time?
The time is 5:23 p.m.
And what do we see?
We're looking at 80 Mountain Spring driveway, and we're seeing a vehicle which appears to be the black Chevrolet Suburban coming from Fort Jefferson, here, direction of Fort Jefferson, and it pulls into the 80 Mountain Spring driveway.
Image 28A. What's the date and time? What are we looking at here?
The date is 5/24/2019, and the time is 5:27 p.m.
And directing your attention to the vehicle in the upper right-hand corner near the timestamp.
Yes,
What is that?
appears to be the Chevrolet Suburban. It's come out of 80 Mountain Spring. It's turned right on Mountain Spring. It's traveling north towards Fort Jefferson Crossing.
Incidentally, during your August 13th interview with the defendant, did you have a conversation with her about the transfer of the keys back to the Gumini?
Yes,
And did the defendant ever indicate to you in that third interview that she went back to 80 Mountain Spring Road to bring the keys?
she indicated she did not.
Thank you. All right, 28B, what are we looking at?
5/24/2019, the time is 5:27 p.m. And the vehicle appears to be the red Toyota Tacoma owned by Farber Dulos, Pavel's wife. It has come out of 80 Mountain Spring, turned right on Mountain Spring, and is traveling towards Fort Jefferson. It's also going towards the direction of 585 Deercliff Road.
28C. All right, what's the time here?
Time here is 5:28 p.m. on the 24th of May.
And directing your attention to the vehicle in the photo?
It appears to be the black Ford Raptor, which is traveling from 80 Mountain Spring north towards Fort Jefferson Crossing.
Image number 29, are we back at 77 Eli?
We are, sir.
And what vehicle is displayed in this photograph?
This appears to be the black Chevrolet Suburban owned by Fotis Dulos, traveling from the direction of 80 Mountain Spring towards the direction of Fort Jefferson Crossing.
Image number 30. This is a different image than we've seen. Can you just orient the jury to what we're looking at?
So this is also a camera from 1 Jefferson Crossing. The camera that we initially saw directly faced Fort Jefferson Crossing. This camera is slightly to the west and oriented almost on a diagonal from the other camera, but this is still 1 Jefferson Crossing, showing Fort Jefferson Crossing and showing Jefferson Crossing, the road itself. Eli Road is out here.
And just to short circuit this, and I probably should have done this sooner, but all these images are from May 24th, is that correct?
All these images are made.
So what's the time? Direct you to the bottom right hand corner. What's
I'm
the
sorry, I
time?
didn't hear you.
What's the time displayed in this image?
5:31 p.m.
What are we looking at there?
So the camera is activated because the homeowner is moving in his driveway, and what we see is the homeowner leave And same general time, we see a black Chevrolet Suburban coming down Jefferson Crossing from the direction of Eli Road and driving into the driveway before Jefferson Crossing, going under the archway and turning left.
And image 31. This is 77 Eli, correct?
No,
I'm, s-
376 Deercliff.
oh, I'm sorry, 376 Deercliff. And what are we looking at here?
So the time is 5:57. Deercliff Road is actually Eli Road in Avon. So as you travel north on Eli, you're on the same road, but it is now Deercliff Road. And what I see is a vehicle that appears to be the red Toyota Tacoma, operated by or owned by Pavel Guamini and his wife Barbara, traveling northbound on Deercliff. And in the back of the vehicle appears to be a motorcycle and a plank extending to the rear. So he's coming from the area of 585 Deercliff. He's traveling north towards Simsbury, where he lives.
Image 32.
Counsel, how many images are there?
36, Judge.
Thank you.
This is 1 Jefferson Crossing, correct?
Correct.
And what's the time?
The time here is 5:59 PM.
And does it appear that there's any smoke coming out of the chimney in this particular image of 4 Jefferson Crossing?
There does not appear to be any smoke coming from the east chimney of 4 Jefferson Crossing.
Image 33. We're still at 1 Jefferson Crossing, correct?
Correct.
I want to direct your attention to that same chimney. Does there appear to be smoke coming out?
There now appears to be smoke coming out of the east chimney of 4 Jefferson Crossing at 6:42 PM.
Incidentally, during your first 2 interviews with the defendant, did she ever indicate to you whether or not anyone had lit in a fire at 4 Jefferson Crossing on May 24th?
She did not know.
Image 34. What's the time here?
It's 2 minutes past the last frame. It's 6:44 PM.
And does there appear to be smoke coming out of the chimney at 4 Jefferson Crossing?
There appears to be smoke coming out of the east chimney of 4 Jefferson Crossing.
So as I understand it, there's 3 separate smoke events separated by periods of non-smoke. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Image 35. And what's the time here?
The time here is 7:02 PM.
And does there appear to be smoke coming out of the chimney in this image?
There does appear to be smoke coming out of the chimney for Jefferson Crossing.
And image 36. What's the time here?
The time here is 8:12.
And what are we looking at?
We're looking at 4 Jefferson Crossing. Vehicle consistent with the Ford Raptor, pulls in from the direction of the eye. Party gets out of the driver's seat, consistent with the appearance of Fotis Dulos, as seen on Albany Avenue video, and is seen at the Starbucks, West Hartford. Goes to the
I'm
mailbox.
gonna check, Your Honor, I'm going to check to the narration, because that's what he's seen, and he's now given us a narration of things that are not anywhere near this video. So I asked that be strict as no response.
Well, it's really, the response really called for other questions. So you can target your questions.
Sure. You indicated that there appears to be a figure exit the vehicle, which appears to be the Ford Raptor, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And who does that figure appear to be, Detective?
That figure appeared to be Fotis Dulos.
Now, you can have a seat. Judge, I have what has been marked as State's Exhibit 149. It's the defendant's entire third interview. I'm moving it to evidence at this time.
No objection. Oh, actually, may I just have a moment? No objection.
149 admitted as full.
Judge, if I could just have this remarked. Detective Kimball, approximately what time of day did you interview the defendant?
I honestly don't remember.
All right, but there's a timestamp.
There's a timestamp and it's accurate.
All right, was the defendant in custody when you interviewed her on August 13th?
She was not, no.
Did she appear to be under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medication?
No,
Did she request the assistance of a Spanish interpreter for the third interview?
she did not.
And, all right, at this time, I'm going to publish the exhibit to the jury. Just going to pause it right there. Would you just mind describing the interview room for the members of the jury?
Sure. The interview room, it's generally square. It's probably about 15 by 15 feet. It has 2 doors. From where the defendant was sitting, there would be a door. There was a door to her left, which went into the major crime office. And then there was a door straight ahead of her, which went to a hallway at Troop G. And the room is equipped with cameras and audio equipment.
And we've got one camera that's sort of facing the end of the table. And that's the angle, that's the predominant angle in this video. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then there's a camera, I guess, in the upper corner of the room, which
In the upper left-hand corner, it shows the door. It's the inset square in the video.
and does this timestamp refresh your memory as to approximately what time you interviewed the defendant?
Yes, we interviewed her approximately 12:49 PM on August 13, 2019.
Oh, and who was the other detective assistant during the interview?
Detective Corey Clavey.
Do the same thing, Michelle. Just closing that just for privacy, okay? some of the same stuff. First interviews, you're not here under any kind of custody. You can try to walk, you're here with your attorney. You won't. I'm glad you came. If you need breaks, you're welcome to take breaks. You need breaks. Your attorney needs breaks. If you want that Coca-Cola I offered you, let me know. You can leave anytime you want. You can take a break anytime you want. I'm glad you came in. This is our third conversation. And honestly, it's two more conversations than most people have. So it's our feeling that the way it looks now is you may be looking like you're more involved than you actually are. So we're trying to give you an opportunity to kind of explain what's going on, put things in perspective and context. All right.
What do you mean by involved?
Okay. Well, obviously, we're talking about the disappearance of our project. Okay. And one of the people that we're looking at as being involved in that is your former boyfriend. So there's a lot of indications that you should have some knowledge of what's going on. Okay. And there's been, during the first interview, there were some things that you said that we suspected might not be 100% accurate. And subsequent to that, there was a second interview. Subsequent to that, and before this interview, which is number 3, there's a lot of evidence that they were not truthful. So when you are truthful with us, it makes us wonder exactly where you are on the spectrum of involvement. So we think Fotis is close to 100%. We're not sure where you fall, as we want you to clarify where on the line you fall. The way you can do that is you have to be honest with us. You understand that? And we understand this is tough for you. We know this. We know English is not your first language. There are very few people in this room right now. And the last time we talked, there were several people in the room. It's not going to be a lot of talking over. I'm going to give you as much time as you need to think about things. If you don't understand a question, you're more than welcome to ask us to rephrase it or re-ask it. But we need to get to what actually happened. Leading up to and on the 24th of May and following the 24th of May. Okay?
Yeah, we need you to be 100% forthcoming on this. We want you to do that.
We know there may be some things, Michelle, that you don't honestly know the answer to, and that's acceptable, but we know that there are things that you absolutely should know the answer to, and we need to clarify. We've gone through some of these things already, and like I said, this is just one thing. We prepared. We have literally a topic. In interview 1, what you said, interview 2, what you said, and the other. And this is, I'm just showing you this. I may need to refer to this throughout the interview. I hope I don't, because I hope you're kind of, sort of being truthful. Okay. We're not here to beat you. We want the information that we know you have. Okay.
And we're here to listen, so we really need you to tell us, starting from the beginning, until even now, everything. 3 months ago, I just about what we knew when we first met with this, to this. To this, like I said, we were for the state police. This is what we do. This is the first time we've done this. So, not even getting into our resume, just trust that, and we want to hear it. So,
There have been people who have sat in the chair you're sitting in right now in the past. Who've told similar stories than what you told during the first and second interview, who ended up in prison. We don't want that to happen either. Okay, so you're giving me the reasons that this really is an opportunity for you. Right? Are you ready to admit that you weren't 100% truthful with us during the first interview? That should be an easy answer.
so we're willing to listen. If you want to start from the very beginning.
Just going to pause it at the timestamp 12:54:44. Did the defendant admit that she wasn't 100% truthful during the first 2 interviews?
Objection. That's not what it says. He's asking me to characterize the answer. It's very clear. It's an ambiguous answer.
Well, the jury heard the video. And so it may not be a judicious use of the court's time to repeat what the jury has heard. Sustained.
Detective, after the defendant indicated yes, when you asked her whether she was ready to admit that she had not been 100% truthful, did that impact how you were going to conduct the interview going forward?
Objection. Misstates the evidence before her answer. So that should be an easy answer. And then she said, yes, okay.
Well,
not what Mr.
Overruled.
Did that impact how you were going to conduct the interview?
Absolutely. We are seeking the truth. We are seeking the truth from her and what happened to Jennifer.
Both how this all became, how it started, how it happened, we'll sit here and we'll be quiet.
Why don't you start with Wednesday, before that would be May 23, when, I'm sorry, May 22, when Fotis went to the camp. Okay, let's just start with Wednesday.
Okay, usually on Wednesdays, he would go and see his kids in the afternoon. And I would take those days, or those Wednesdays, to go out with my daughter Nicole. That Wednesday, I went with Nicole, Kim Rose, and Lauren, who's our daughter. We went to West Hartford to have a sushi at a restaurant in West Hartford. And I think we met there around 7. The 4 of us. I know I texted, I usually Fotis would go to Grace Farms to spend time with the kids, and he had supposed to be a supervisor because he couldn't be alone. I texted him, and I saw that the text didn't go through. So I don't remember what I said, like, are you with the kids, are you enjoying it? I don't remember exactly, but I wrote something. And I saw that it didn't go through, like he didn't read the message. Not that he didn't read, like he didn't, I don't know how to say it, when you block someone, but you don't see the birds, or I call them the birds. So I put him like a finger. I said, okay. And I want you. Yes. And then I never spoke. We had dinner, we finished dinner, we went to Icy Rolls. We were the last ones because Nicole was the last one to order an ice cream. And that probably, if they close at 9, maybe we were there just before 9, 2 minutes before 9. And Nicole had her ice cream, and then we went back to the car, they went to their home, and I went to Nicole to Fort Jefferson. And I arrived, and I think Fotis was already there. And well, obviously I put Nicole to bed, like what I always do. I asked how it was. He said it was good, like always, with the kids. They were loving, they said hi. And that was it. And then Thursday, well, I wake up at the same time. No, sorry, Thursdays a little bit later because Nicole starts school on Thursday at 9 instead of at 8.
Did you have any discussion with Fotis about the fact that he didn't pick up the text? Or that he thought that
I did, but it wasn't right away. It was at some point we did, but it wasn't that night, or it wasn't that morning. Well, so I wake up, I take showers, I put usually my gym clothes. I take Nicole to school. On the way, we stop in Starbucks.
This is Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Because usually on Thursdays, I don't cook for her in the morning, I don't do breakfast, we just stop in Starbucks, that's like our routine. And then I drop her off. And then I went to the house. I don't know if I went jogging, but I don't remember that. But usually I go back to the house. I go to the supermarket because we were having a dinner that night. Also, Nicole, on Wednesday, she told me that she needed oranges for a juice on Friday to take to the classroom. So I believe I bought the oranges that day. I went to my friend's store to grab some rugs because Stefan and Beth, they wanted to see my rugs to see if they wanted to buy. Obviously I picked up Nicole in school and we went to the house. Stefan and Beth, they arrived around 5. I showed them the rugs that they were in the office, Fotis' office. I really liked them, I gave them an explanation. I usually have a presentation in my computer with price lists, and I had it there just in case they asked. I was just showing them.
So you sell on Instagram? Rug you sell on Instagram?
That's
You still have one on Instagram?
Well, I don't sell them on Instagram, but I have them posted.
Okay, okay.
It's called Patagonia style.
Right.
But I mean, it's just to show pictures of drugs, this is a business I just started this year. I'm the owner of this company of drugs. It's a friend of mine that prior when I used to live in Argentina. I used to buy him the sheepskins, the drugs for the ski resort. So I called him in December, and I don't know if this is interesting.
Let's stay on track.
Fine. So then I took them in the house. So we walked out of the office to the TV room, and I showed them my green one that I had there. Then we went all the way to the room. I showed them the one that I had in the master bedroom. Then we went down. I showed them the one that I had in the family room, coffee box, and they were delighted. They thinking, the typical, oh, I would like to have the beige, but in this size, I don't know. We were kind of figuring out which one they wanted for them, but they were going to tell me not that one later. And then we went to the kitchen and we started getting the food ready. I already had the meat out. Renata was there cleaning the house all day. I think by the time we went to the kitchen, I think Renata left. I'm not 100%, but I think she said goodbye. Well, I took the meat. The meat that I had was frozen, but I took it out in the afternoon. I got it ready. Then we started cutting to do the green salad and peeling potatoes. And we were in the kitchen, Seth and Beth, me. At some point, Fotis was present, and at a moment, Fotis, we didn't have enough of meat, so he went supposedly to the supermarket to buy meat.
What part do you want to?
I mean, probably Stop and Shop, or we got it all from.
That's right.
Meat egg or meat.
Okay. So you thought you had enough meat, but it turned out you didn't, so sometime Fotis left.
To buy meat.
Right. What time is that?
What time?
About
If they arrive at 5.
just after 5, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what Fotis was. That night.
So we didn't go to the supermarket.
Well, please you tell us. Why don't you tell us what you?
Oh, I came with a piece of meat from the supermarket.
So yeah, tell us about things you know.
Oh, he came back
Okay.
with a piece of meat.
Okay.
I opened it and cleaned it up.
Okay.
And then right in Hodge and Aaron arrived. I believe 7.
Okay.
A little earlier, but it was on time around there.
Okay.
And then, we're having wine. I think Fotis offered wine to Hodge and Aaron. And then the 3 of them went outside to cook the meat and the French fries. And it was raining, but not hard rain. So we were deciding to eat inside or outside. We decided to eat outside on the porch. And we put the table outside, me and Beth, Aaron, help. And I believe we ate probably around 8. Nicole came down, we sat outside and we ate. And we were hanging on the table, talking, blah, blah, blah. At some point, I go upstairs to put people to bed. I spoke with my sister, like a long conversation for 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
I put Nicole to bed, I go down, and Aaron and Hush were gone, they left. And Stefan and Beth were there, and I both. And we were hanging in the kitchen. They were washing the things from the dinner. And then at some point, I don't know, it was 10. We went to watch TV. Me and Fotis. And then at some point, obviously, we were falling asleep. We go upstairs and we go to sleep. Like that. And then Nicole calls me at 12:59. And
How did she call you? On the phone?
yes,
Like on the, she called your phone or did she use the app?
But she calls me on her phone.
Does she have WhatsApp?
Yes, I think that was on WhatsApp.
Fair.
But she called me, no, it can't be because my company, the AT&T lost.
Okay.
So she called me from the regular phone. And
Like a house phone?
no,
So-
it was
so-
from her cell phone. to
Is there a
my
house phone in the house? Is there a hard line? There's no hard line connected to the house? Is there a hard line when it's the office?
phone. I never saw phone. Now, if they have.
So you guys use cell
We
phones?
use the cell phone all the time.
Okay, it's a big house, right?
It's 50,000 square
Big
feet.
house, yeah, okay.
I mean, from one side, we need to call each other from the phone, even though we're inside the house.
Okay.
That's something that we do on a regular basis.
All right, so 12, 15 minutes. Cool. All right, so you guys are watching TV. Focus.
Before going to bed, yes.
Okay, continue from there.
Then I guess we were falling asleep in the couch and we go up to the bedroom. And I was obviously sleeping, Nicole calls me at 12:59. That it was raining hard. And it was. And I go to sleep with her. And then on Friday, the alarm goes on. Usually I have the alarms at 6:40. I go to my bedroom. I take shower, take change.
What I just asked you, so normally the alarm is 6:40, was it 6:40 that way?
Yes.
Okay, so your alarm went off at 6:40.
Well, Nicole's alarm also.
Nicole's?
Or I think she has it at 6:35 or 6:30.
Okay,
I think she has it like 10 minutes before me, but
Okay.
not 100%.
okay,
By night, for sure, it's a 6.
somewhere around 6:30, 6:40. Which alarm was it that went off to then?
Well, hers and mine was in my room.
So what woke you up?
Nicole's alarm.
So Nicole's alarm wakes you up,
Yeah.
you shut it off, or does Nicole shut it off, it just keeps out?
No, she did,
Okay.
because it was on her side. She
And
does
you
it
get up,
night table is on her side, she sleeps here, and I usually sleep next to the bathroom.
okay, so you get up, and what do?
I go to my room, walk her to
Is
the
your
bathroom.
alarm going off?
My alarm, I think I turned it off. I think my alarm was going on.
So as you walked into the bedroom, was the alarm going off?
I'm not 100%, but I assume that yes, because I have the alarm set up, but I'm not 100%.
Okay,
I woke up, I mean,
okay,
I wasn't sleeping.
and then what happened from the, so you shut your alarm off in your bedroom, what happens then?
Take shower, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, get dressed. Go downstairs, do the breakfast for Nicole.
When you shut your alarm off between 6:30 and 6:40 in the morning, this is a very important question, okay? This kind of goes to, well, this is kind of, it goes to whether you're gonna be truthful with this or not. When you shut off your alarm in your bedroom at 6:30, 6:40 a.m.
I think mine says it's 40.
So this is a question, because you set your alarm, when you turn your alarm off in your bedroom, was Fotis there? He was not there. You did not take a shower with him. That was a lie. Or a mistake, or a mistake.
I won't call it a lie.
Okay. But now you realize that he wasn't there.
You have to understand
I
the
know,
perception.
but I tell you, I will take showers with him, and I told Andy, I will take showers when we have relationship in the morning before the alarm goes on, and we will take showers together, because obviously.
Yeah.
Okay,
We get it.
You're
But the truth is, what is the truth? Was he there that morning?
Well, I didn't see him in the bedroom or in the shower or in the room. I didn't.
Did you see him in the house at all?
I did not see him in the morning in the house.
Okay, so when was the first time?
I'm just gonna pause it right there. You a detective, and I'm pausing it at 1:12:38 PM. You and Detective Clabby appear to be engaging her about your previous conversations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Could you just indicate for the jury what the defendant told you on June 2nd about Fotis Dulos' whereabouts on the morning of May 24th?
So during that first interview, she indicated she saw Fotis Dulos. Well, she had shower. Fotis Dulos was there when she woke up. He entered the shower with her when she was taking a shower, and then she later saw Fotis Dulos in the four-group office when she returned from bringing her child to school.
And directing your attention now to the June 6th interview. What did the defendant initially say about whether or not Mr. Dulos was home in the morning?
She initially said he was home.
saw Fotis drive.
when he called me and he said, let's have lunch.
Okay,
That was the same time.
so that was at 4 Jefferson Crossing. You were upstairs and you hear him call out.
Yeah, I was in the cold room. And he was in the down of the in the house, in the stairs. He was down and he says, Oni, let's have lunch. And I came out.
At 12 o'clock.
More or less.
Well, what's the window? Are you sure the time? Was there a window?
What is that?
The window, the time period?
12 to 1:30.
So sometime between noon and 1:30.
And that's usually the time that we would have lunch together, you know, in our daily basis.
So between 12 and 1:30, Fotis, is that 4 Jefferson calling up to you to have lunch?
Yes.
Right.
More or less.
So you can't say 100%, you just think you've seen that one and a half.
Exactly.
So on that day, you don't know what time?
No, I'm not looking at the watch to see
Okay.
exactly what time
Well,
I
I
eat.
mean-
Normally, I eat between those times. But
Oh, yeah.
Did you, when you got up, just tell, the officers what you did when you got up? And
When I get up,
when you went to call that day, all right?
I went downstairs, I cooked breakfast. Usually the breakfast for Nicole can be an omelette, can be a toast with Nutella, it can be strawberries with Nutella. I made the orange juice.
Okay, just tell them what you did and where you got.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I did the juice and I went to the school and I dropped her off at the school.
Okay.
And then I came back to the house. At some point I went up to the office. James was there
Why did you go?
because I had my computer and I'm not sure I had printed out some Lord and Taylor return. Because I had to return some dresses from Nicole. And so I went inside to grab my stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sure.
Tell them.
Ken was in the far end. There's a table.
Last day.
Yes.
It's a big room.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you go in from the inside of the house, it's a door. You have a square glass table, a round glass table that usually that's where Fabian sits. A long one here, glass table as well. That's where Andy sits. Totally sits here. And then you walk like a little hallway, and there's another glass table, and there's an office. Not an office.
What was Ken doing?
He was here.
He's in the middle of the room at the glass table?
Oh, in the glass table.
Yeah, it was just kind of in the middle of the room, right?
Oh,
It's a big room.
yeah, it's to the wall, to the windows.
What is Ken doing?
I don't know what Ken's doing, but he was there.
Do you see Ken?
Yes,
Ken see you?
yes.
You and Ken talk?
Hi, good morning.
You say that to Ken? Ken
Yes,
responds to you?
yes.
What does he say?
Hello, good morning.
Okay, so you two spoke.
Yes. And then I grabbed my computer. Fotis phone was there.
What was his cell phone?
Yes,
Was where?
in the desk.
In the bedroom or the office?
Inside the office.
I'm gonna pause it at 1:13 PM. The defendant just indicated that she saw Mr. Dulos' cellular phone in the Farber office, correct?
That's correct.
I want to direct you back to the June 6, 2019 interview. Did the subject of Mr. Dulos' cellular phone come up?
It did.
And what did the defendant say about whether or not she had seen his cell phone in that June 6 interview?
She indicated she had not seen it. She assumed it was with Fotis.
Let's take a look, because remember, I wasn't there. Okay, so the cell phone that Fotis uses was there
Was there
in the office
in the office.
where Ken was.
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Okay.
In the desk that is kind of like in the middle glass desk, in that square one.
Do you remember exactly where on the desk it was? Was it plugged in or was it just there?
It was plugged, but it was there. Like I believe the computer and the cell phone there.
When Fotis goes to bed at night, what does he normally do with his phone? Like me, I leave my phone next to my bed, plugged in the charger or not. What practice does Fotis use with his phone?
He does it in different places, like near the window,
But in the bed.
in the bedroom, sometimes down in the kitchen, and there's 2 plugs in the table, in the kitchen aisle, whatever.
This is his main cell phone, 865 number, the regular phone number. His main phone number, the one for the courtroom, the one that
Well,
ends
that's the
865.
one I know that he had. You guys are the ones who tell me that he had it.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're talking about, So you're saying that when Fotis goes to bed at night, sometimes his phone is in the kitchen, sometimes
He uses his phone all over the
it's
house.
all.
And I think if you talk to the employees, they will tell you, he always loses his phone, his wallet, and
Okay, but the day of the 24th, you see Ken,
yes,
Fotis' phone,
yes,
it's on the glass table in
Yes.
the office,
yes,
where Ken is located.
yes,
You woke up in the morning
yes,
and went into your bedroom, to turn off your alarm.
yes.
Do you remember if you saw Fotis' phone in that bed?
No, I saw it in the office.
So in the office. Was that the first time that day you saw it in the office, or did you see it?
I saw it in the
Just
office.
that, okay. So when you saw it, in the office, were you surprised that, Fotis isn't there, right? But his
I
phone is
thought he
there?
was, but
Oh, so you
I
thought,
thought he was, because.
But you didn't see him.
But I didn't see him, I didn't see him.
so was it the fact the phone was there that made you think the Fotis was also there?
Oh, Kent, I saw Kent. And I thought he was, but obviously he wasn't.
Okay.
And I think, but again, I don't know why I'm 100% sure, but I can be mistaken that when I took Nicole to school, the Suburban was there. The black Suburban,
Okay,
that was parked
okay,
next to the Cherokee.
okay. Was the Suburban there when you came back from dropping the ball?
I'm pretty sure yes, but I don't want to say yes and then it wasn't.
All right, so what you're saying, it sounds like, is that if Fotis wasn't there, he wasn't driving the Suburban.
If he wasn't,
If Fotis was not in the house, and Suburban was at the house, then Fotis was not in the Suburban, right?
now, yes, I think if I think like that, yes, of course he wasn't.
What do you say now? What do you mean now?
If
I'm not
it's
trying to
not
get you to
there,
say something massive.
no, I know, because back then, I always thought he was in the house, but thinking, I never saw him, I never heard his voice, so obviously he wasn't, or probably he wasn't in the house.
Let's just go back to the office. Okay, you can see his phone. Did the phone ring?
The phone rang, and it was a call from it said Andreas. And Ken stood up, and I think he was kind of, from what I imagine, coming towards the side of the room. Like, if you're gonna pick up the phone or something like that, I picked up, I know what
Okay,
it
he
is.
said that to you.
He said, are you, like, there's a phone ringing, or we're gonna pick something with the phone, or the call, not the phone, the call. And I picked up the phone, I know Andreas, but I wasn't sure that it was Andreas. And I hear like noise, but I did hear Ella is, hello, in English, in Greek. And I said hola, and that was about it, like, the communication didn't go through.
Did the phone just disconnect?
It looked,
Just gonna pause it at 122:41. At any point during your first 2 interviews with the defendant on June 2nd, 2019 and June 6th, 2019, did she mention that she answered Mr. Dulos' phone?
No.
This is the first time she's mentioning it?
Yes.
Thank you.
but it wasn't that fast, it wasn't like 3 minutes, like, yo, no, it was actually short.
Okay,
And I'm pretty sure it was Andreas' voice.
okay.
Did you think that the call failed, or do you think that he hung up?
No, I think the call failed. And like the connection was bad.
There was no further phone calls?
No, then I left. Then I went downstairs.
You and Ken didn't have any conversation after that?
No, I left because I had to go. I wanted to go to the supermarket. I had to do things that day. I went downstairs. I cooked I believe I ate an omelet, 100%. I sent some emails. I sent an email to Nicole's, called the legal director of the school. Because that Tuesday, Nicole had fever. She had an activity in school, she got sunburned. And again, I said that night with her. And I texted her, do you have some spray, please, to put on the coat? And then texted that she left the purse in the house. And I took a picture and I said, is this one? I did.
Yes, well, I'm not, yes. When you left the office, and you went downstairs and you found it, where was Fotis's phone?
No, I left it in the
You left the office?
Yes.
You picked it up? You said, you heard, hola, hola, Ayla, you said, hola, Caulfield, you put it back down,
Yes.
and you left.
And I left. So I was kind of back and forth with her. I can go take it the first wherever you want. I'm going that direction. I'm going to the supermarket. I don't remember, but it was like 3, 4 back and forth. So I ended up grabbing the purse and I drove to Kent, and not to Kent, to Patch, to the warehouse. I was talking to my sister on FaceTime for a long time, like for 16 minutes. I made a lot of phone calls in the morning. I don't remember right now, but you guys have my phone.
We did, yeah.
I think I called my mom, my dad, Paola, which I called her friend. Anyway. I drive to the warehouse. I go inside the office. I see a secretary, well, a woman. I don't know if it's a secretary, a blonde woman. I asked for Hutch, and Hutch was sitting to the right. And he stands up. And I gave him the purse. And he said, oh, thank you, we had a nice time. Sorry, we couldn't say goodbye. And I said, no, it was pretty good to sleep. Hope we had a nice time or whatever conversation. I left. And from there, I believe I went to the supermarket. On the supermarket, I found a robot. I took a picture with the robot in a video and I sent it to be over to my family. I was kind of making this stupid joke about the robot. I thought, to buy it. And I left and I went back to the house.
Okay. What time do you think you get back to the house? Do you have any idea what time you get back to the house? 10:30 somewhere?
It could be. I'm not 100%, but it could be.
Okay.
I know I called Pedro at some point because I was going to meet with her.
Right.
She was leaving to London that day.
Right.
She was supposed to give me a check of some rocks that she bought, and I wanted to say goodbye. So I went, we arranged, and she said something like, we'll be here at 11 because I can only be for I'm going to be for only a short period of time.
Right.
So I probably got there at 11.
Till 9.
Oh, I
Get
did.
there 11 or 9.
Okay. I probably stayed there like 15 minutes, 20 at the most. I sent an email to me with the descriptions of the items, of the rocks that she wanted. She told me I'm gonna pay you in cash. I said, no, I'd rather have it because she does her checkbook.
Yep.
So she said, I can go to the ATM. I said, no, don't worry, pay me later. I'd rather have a check. Berenice was there. Berenice is her partner. So it's obviously so it was Berenice or travel. No, yes, it was Berenice. And when I left. And I stopped at the pond to see if Queen was there. Because Hodge said, Hodge the night before said, Queen's already here. If you need someone to pull you, you can contact him. He's going to be every morning in the pond.
Right.
So I went to the pond. There was no one there. The water was windy. There was a lot of wind current in the water. So obviously it wasn't a good day for water skiing and left.
Okay.
And I went back to the house.
Okay.
And I was in the house.
Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. You stayed there till 1:32
Okay.
p.m.
Okay. And for this comes, we eat.
How long after you arrived back at the house, Michelle, the folks arrived? Do you have any idea?
If I arrived to the house, let's say at 11.
You arrived back at the house at 11:57.
Okay, so probably right after.
Okay.
So, well, at 1, it has to be, he arrived at some point.
You did arrive at some point, yes.
Okay.
It wasn't 12.
So 12:31.
Lucas.
Okay, no, I know he arrived at some point. I don't
Okay.
know how fast.
Did he just show up? Or did
Yes.
they go pick him up?
No, I showed up in the house.
So he showed up on his own?
Yes.
How was he, what did he look like? How was he dressed when he showed up? This is him calling you down, right? Coming down and watching you.
Yes. He was with a, I believe he was with a shirt, like.
Like a pullover shirt? Or a button-down shirt? Shirt and tie?
No, not tie. He doesn't-
Okay, so a button-down shirt.
Yes.
Okay.
He uses.
Rolls the sleeves.
He rolls
Did
his-
the shirt have a collar?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like
Right,
that.
so it had a collar, but there was no tie, and he had sleeves rolled up. You think?
I have never seen that much of ties when he goes to court.
Did you know, did you see Fotis arrive?
You know, it was.
So do you know how long he was at Fort Jefferson before he called up to you?
I wasn't, I mean, when he called me, I was in the court room.
So his appearance was normal.
I saw him normal.
He wasn't sweating, he wasn't red.
No, and he wasn't with blood. He told me.
He wasn't what?
With blood. So you guys told me in the last interview that he was, he had blood.
Yeah, I asked him, I don't know.
So you asked me, I said, no, I didn't see him.
Okay, we asked questions.
I didn't see him.
Okay, it's like the detail you gave earlier with the text message, you gave middle finger and blocking, like that detail, that's the detail we want. But sometimes we ask questions to see if there's.
But that was
part
the
of-
thing.
I know, I understand, I'm just giving you an example. All right, well, the detail we like to see. Sometimes we ask questions. So you're not sure when he arrived at the house, when he did, he was dressed normally? And he didn't look
Pretty
unusual?
much dressed, he doesn't have that much trouble. And he dressed pretty much the same.
Okay,
That's what I recall.
all right, so he calls you, he says, let's have lunch,
Yes.
and what happens from there?
We have lunch fast.
Fast.
Yeah, because normally lunch, we don't sit for an hour. It's like reheated food. Sometimes we do salads, something fast, something easy. Usually some leftovers.
Do you remember what it was?
It was we ate pastel de papa.
What is that?
It's meat with mashed potatoes on top. I do that a lot. It's one of the court's favorite too.
That's the chef. That's what they said.
Yes.
That's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's over. And then,
Yeah.
and then,
Usually in the afternoons, lunch, normally, it's, unless it's a salad, it's a leftover.
okay, so you gotta take fast. Was there a rush? No.
You eat it maybe 15 minutes.
So what happened at lunch?
After lunch, at some point he calls me.
Okay.
I wake up.
Yeah.
And
I don't want, you say at some point, it's like
oh,
you're skipping over.
I received a call of him at 1:53.
Right, so what did you do right after lunch? Did you clean up the dishes?
Oh, I put them in the sink.
You made you clean the dishes?
Oh, yeah, clean the dishes.
So you cleaned the dishes?
No, I don't know, I clean the dishes.
Oh, you put it in the
Put them
sink. And then what did he do?
I don't know, but I did, because I have the logs, he called me at some point at 1:50, something, I don't remember. But you guys have my.
Please, shut it. Go ahead.
He said to go that, I don't know if it was that call, because he called me again after. He said at some point in one of the calls, he said, I need you to bring cleaning stuff to a mountain, because Rania is coming tomorrow with some clients and I want the house to look decent.
I want to kind of stop, just want to make sure you understand.
Perhaps we could
This is
pause
what-
it right now.
This is where, sir.
Yes, Judge, pause at 1:35:04.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will take our lunch and recess until 2 o'clock. Please do not discuss the case.
Yeah, just leave it. I'm just gonna turn off the screen. Close.
Okay, we'll see if they say anything outside the presence of the jury. Okay, we'll see if they say anything outside the presence. Something's not muted here. Okay, looks like. It's not muted here. Okay, sorry, I had to figure out what wasn't muted. Now, let's Here we go.
global view of these 7 hours of interview. And the global view can be captured in just a few words. Essentially, Detective Kimball, you had 3 interviews because you didn't believe the first 2. That's it. The jury can easily draw that conclusion because this offer started with Detective Kimball indicating that most people don't get this chance. We're giving you another chance inferentially because we don't believe you. And you're not coming clean. That's how this offer is presented. So the court denies the motion in limine.
And I'll just note, I agreed with what the court, fully agree with what the court just said. My concern is more about him in court telling this jury what he believes and didn't believe. That's the part I think is where I think that violates the code.
Well, if Detective Kimball said something other than or inferred something other than what's in the video, the court could understand the concern. But essentially, that is not what the court hears. In other words, he is testifying about the reason, first, that there are 3 interviews or more than 1 interview. And secondly, simply just reiterating what's in the video. The motion is denied. You can bring the jury out. Would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Detective Kimball, where we had left off prior to the luncheon, you were discussing with the defendant going to 80 Mountain Spring Road. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And what did the defendant say about going to 80 Mountain Spring Road and how that came about?
She told us that she had been called by Fotis Dulos to respond to 80 Mountain Spring to bring cleaning supplies to clean the house for a showing that Saturday.
Now, turning your attention back to the surveillance footage, which we watched earlier, what did that surveillance footage reveal about when the Jeep Cherokee and Suburban arrived at 80 Mountain Spring Road?
So the surveillance video from 77 Mountain Spring showed that first the Jeep, then the Suburban arrived for the first time at 80 Mountain Spring at 1:36, which would be prior to the 1:53 call.
Okay, and Judge, we the closest we could get it was to 1:34:42, so we're just going to pick it up from there.
With some clients and I want the house to look decent.
I want to kind of stop this. I want to make sure you understand that this is where certain real important. And you know exactly where you were. And just so you know what you told us the first couple times doesn't match up to this. This is very low. So you put the dishes in the sink.
Yes.
Okay. And Fotis, you don't know what he did. Did he stay at Jefferson or did he leave?
No, he was gonna go to 80 Mountain.
Okay.
But I don't know if he already left, but at some point he calls me.
All right, well, I know you keep trying to get to that, but I want to go back. During lunch, what are you guys talking about? I know it's past lunch, but what are you discussing, having any discussions with anything?
Not
They're
that I
talking
remember.
about anything, you got
No, of course you talk, but I don't remember what I talk every day of my life when I have lunch.
All right.
Obviously,
Well,
it
you
was.
do remember a lot of details on some things.
Oh, I do, because I think we had it really focusing to be as much detail as possible.
Okay.
To be able to give you as much information as I remember. But what I thought exactly, I don't have,
So let me ask you directly, was there any mention of Jennifer Dulos during your lunch with Fotis on the 24th?
no, I don't know if that time we spoke about the problem that he didn't answer the phone. That Wednesday, I never
No,
knew.
the Andreas phone. What, 23rd? Oh, you're doing the 22nd.
That Wednesday, he told me he went to Raceman.
All right, I'm not,
Okay, fine. At some point, I don't know what day, I said, why you didn't, but
let me, I guess, stop you because during the Friday of May 24th, you're eating lunch with Fotis. Is there any mention of Jennifer? You want to talk about Jennifer? Did you ask him where he was that morning? When you got up that morning, were you expecting to see him?
oh, because sometimes he wakes up and you have his phone. He wakes up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning.
Right,
And
right.
he watches TV, he reads, sorry, this is fun. And he leaves the room because he turns the lights on and it bothers me. Or if he doesn't want it, I go to Nicole's room. Sometimes he moves to another room to read.
Is that something he always does?
Yes.
He's always done that?
He's,
Or is that more recent?
it was more recent because I don't remember like when I first moved, he was sleeping very, like we were kind of like in synchronized, you know, like we were synchronized with someone.
So when you say more recent, how recent? When did he wake up at 4 a.m.?
Like for instance, when he came to Vail in March, and he came to visit, he was waking up a lot and he would tell me that it was because there was 2 hours of difference. So I didn't know if it was that was bothering him.
You told us in the first interview that recently, prior to May 24th of 2019, he had started waking up earlier in the morning.
And there was a guy, I don't know if I told you, that he wanted Fotis to sell his piece of land in New Hartford. Nick, I told you, okay, he was calling like at 4:30 in the morning. He did several calls, and that was annoying.
Sure.
But yes, he was waking up 4 or 5, and for me that was a bother because I don't wake up at that time.
You also weren't in that room that morning. You
No,
were
I know,
involved.
but I'm saying that in other days,
Right, other days.
it bothered me, and I would either move to my Nicole's room, or he would go to another place.
Okay.
That's what I'm
So do
saying.
you even know what time you woke up on May 24th? Okay, because you weren't in there with him, right? So you have lunch and you know that he's going to eat Mountain Spring after lunch? How do you know that?
Because he told me.
Okay, and
He told me.
what's he going to eat Mountain Spring to do?
He told me that it was because Rania, the realtor, was going the next day with some clients and the house has to be cleaned.
Right, and did he tell you that at lunchtime?
No, he told me that he was going to A, and then at some point he calls me saying, bring cleaning supplies for to clean the house
Okay,
for Rania.
okay,
That's more or less what I remember. And he called me like at 1:50 something, and he calls me like at 3.
well, let me just tell you that at 1:33, Fotis is driving to Jefferson, or driving to Mountain Spring. And by 1:36, you guys are both arriving at Mountain Spring.
Okay, so I went with the cleaning stuff.
But you went with him, you guys are both driving into the driveway together, like literally right
Are we
behind the other.
going together?
Do you remember driving over to Mountain Spring?
I remember driving.
And which car were you driving?
I was driving the Cherokee. But can you repeat again?
Well, I don't want to tell you, I'm trying to ask you. So I'm trying to ask you, when you went over in the Jeep, where was Fotis already there at Mountain Spring?
I recall that, yes, but can you just repeat what you said that I didn't understand?
Hold on a second. So you drive the Jeep over at 1:36 and you arrive. You're saying Fotis was already there, that's not, he's driving it right ahead of you. You're following
So
him.
then I'm following.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't, it could happen.
Okay, it did happen, absolutely did happen. No, I'm just telling
I'm
you.
not saying no.
Okay, so I'm just telling you that it's strange that you wouldn't remember that.
So I don't, John.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, no, I can't tell you what the results are.
Okay, and I do remember going back to the house at some point and then coming back. Like, I did go back from 80 to the house,
Yes,
and
you did.
from Jefferson to the house,
Yes,
because
that's
I
correct.
changed the vacuum for a room.
So when you came over in the Jeep, what did you have with you in the Jeep for cleaning supplies?
I brought bucket, a sponge, garbage bags, Disposable, how do you call the gloves, disposable.
Yeah,
gloves.
like,
Jackets. Yeah.
latex gloves,
Yeah.
tight gloves, or like the ones that go up your arm?
No, short ones. Short. Fibers, because I use that a lot. When I clean like the cats.
Troconis, right. I got a cat.
The box with the cats. The dog, when I clean when I do like the meat or the chicken.
You wear it. Yeah, that's, yeah, watch out. What color is the bucket?
It's like it's white, plastic white.
Does it have a handle? Is it like a structure bucket, or is it like a bucket you use? Okay. You remember what color the sponge was?
It's yellow and green.
And do you remember what color the bags were? Were they heavy bags or?
Just going to pause it at 143.52. Detective Kimball, in the course of your investigation, did you become aware of certain items that were recovered at Albany Avenue?
Yes, I did.
And would you describe, for any sponges recovered at Albany Avenue?
Yes.
What color were they?
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object to this kind of narrative of other police funding. It's not relevant to what's happening unless there's a.
I disagree.
Well, the testimony that has already been heard concern sponges, bags, and Detective Kimball has been asked, did you become aware of the recovery of certain items on Albany Avenue? The response is yes, sponges and bags. So the objection is overruled.
The sponge was yellow and green.
And what color were the garbage bags?
The garbage bags were black.
Were they lightweight? I mean, were they?
Garbage bags.
Or when this is that, they can't be doing garbage. Sometimes they make
Oh,
airweight or.
Yeah,
something
no,
similar.
I took like the big garbage ones because I have those on the back and what first pantries are. That's where all the,
This is where all this came from. Of the colors.
like the bucket, what came from the kitchen, the sponge, the Windex, the clothes, I don't know if it's it was from the clothes, that's from bathrooms, whatever.
Is it a spray or is it a big gallon? It's a spray.
The one that says bleach, the brand is clothes, so it says bleach, all purpose.
Okay. Where was that from?
I haven't, usually the cleaning supplies are divided either in the laundry room or in the kitchen. Like the vacuum in the room, usually they're in the closet far in the mudroom, near the stairs. Or sometimes the vacuum is in the laundry, because that's when Renata uses it.
Okay.
What else did I take? Paper towel. I think that's it.
What were you planning to clean? Like the whole house? The house,
And
right?
I wasn't cleaning up. So I cleaned, what did I clean? Countertop in the living room where the fireplace was, there were like dirt or like balls or something, like I think it was an animal thing. No, not trouble. Yeah, the house had bats, had owl,
Okay.
that Andy, the guy that used to work for Fotis was always complaining that I cannot find a guy that hires someone
In
to.
the house? They would have truckings in the house.
It would have bats.
They would, were the owls and bats inside the house and truckings?
The bats were supposed to be in the attic. Then there was a problem with one of the bathrooms that insects would come in, like bees, flies. Then there was an owl. The owl did disappear. I don't know if Andy took it away. Anyway, so I cleaned the kitchen countertop. I went upstairs to the bathrooms and I put the liquid, the chloro things, the bleach, and I just click the handle to the water come down. Then I went at some point to the house and I came back. Exactly.
All right, before that, what is Fotis doing?
Fotis, I saw him from the window of the bathroom of the master bedroom. At some point he was fixing, he had some, I think there were pink or blue ribbons along the drive of the house. He was very upset always that when Stefan had the open houses, people were stepping on the grass. So he would put like a ribbons, lines.
So people would notice that.
Yes. At some point, I know he went to the basement. In the basement of the house, I don't know if that's big, it's like, and it's unfinished, and it has like construction things.
Okay.
I've been in that basement maybe 2 times.
Okay, so we go to the basement, why?
No, I didn't go that day.
He went, he said at some point.
At
he went.
some point, because I saw the door open, and obviously the door was open is because he was down there. Because that door usually is closed, and it has a sign that says, I think it says unfinished basement, not open, or
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I know it used to have a paper. I don't know if it has a paper inside.
Right.
And when I said I was inside the house. Sorry.
Okay.
Whatever else you can get.
No, bueno, but at some point I went to the house to grab the broom, but you have my times there.
Right.
Did they get that?
You went to the house
Yeah,
at
I
Fort
went to
Jefferson.
the house for Jefferson.
And how long did you stay there?
I-
Right, well, I wanted to, sorry to interrupt, I got to interrupt. The first time you went to the Mount Spring shop, you were cleaning the kitchen countertops and the bathrooms upstairs? Anything
I
else?
mean, I don't remember exactly what I cleaned, but I do know what I cleaned. I don't know what I cleaned first.
Sorry.
Okay, but I did tell you the countertops.
Yep.
And, things of the toilet.
Toilet bowl. Toilet
The
bowl.
toilets, yeah, of the bathrooms, of the ones on the top.
How many bathrooms are there?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Four bathrooms.
Um,
Anything else?
I cleaned that part of the living room. I cleaned the outside. There's a terrace in front of the kitchen.
Yep.
That I used the room, and I picked up like leaves and I got
So you
the
swept the terrace.
yes, because they accumulate this in the corners.
Okay,
I didn't do that much.
okay. So when you arrived this first time, Fotis was driving this first.
When I arrived, when you say that we supposedly were together,
Yes, you were.
I was in the Cherokee, and Fotis was in the Suburban.
Okay. Were there any other cars there?
Yes, the red pickup, a red car.
So when you drove it,
Just going to pause at 15109. The defendant just indicated that the red pickup of L's truck was there. During your June 2nd interview, did the defendant ever indicate to you that Mr. Gomini's truck was at 80 Mountain Spring Road?
No, she did not.
Did she talk about Mr. Gomini's truck during that first interview?
At the very end of the interview, she mentioned that Pavel had a red truck, which was dirty, old, and destroyed.
But she never said it was at 80 Mountain that
She
day.
never said that, no.
How about on June 6th, 2019? Did the defendant ever say to you that Pavel's truck was at 80 Mountain Spring Road?
She did not know.
already happy with Pavel there? Okay, where is he? Do you know where he was?
Supposedly, I mean, I didn't ask, but normally what he does is he's taking care of the house of the people.
Because you don't know specifically where Pavel was, but you did see him at 80 Mountain Spring, but his truck was there.
I didn't see, I saw the car.
Okay.
I saw Pavel's.
The red pickup. But you didn't see
I saw
Pavel.
Pavel afterwards, when he came.
Right, when you
and I
first
saw-
arrived there.
No, I didn't see Pavel.
Do you have any idea why the truck was there? Do you have any idea how it got there? Okay. So you went back at one point to Jefferson. How long do you think you were at 80 Mountain Spring before you went back to Jefferson? Any idea?
I don't know why I think like for maybe an hour, 40 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes.
Um,
Now, how long were you at for Jefferson when you went back for the vacuum and the room switch?
It could be then like an hour, but I was there, and then I know at some point I went back and I stayed longer, but I don't know which time I was longer, if it was the first time or the second time, because I did clean part of the house. But I don't know which one I was 15 minutes and which one I was more.
Okay.
But
That's why I said that.
oh, okay, I know, but again, that's why I told you, like, I'm not gonna remember. I know I went back at some point and I came back.
Okay.
That I know.
But when you went back to Jefferson, is it true that you only went back to get a vacuum or to switch the vacuum out to the morning?
Yes, well, maybe I stayed there for a little bit longer. Maybe I could have stayed and do some emails.
Was there anything going on at 80 Mount Spring you didn't want to be part of?
Not that I know, not I know knowledge. I went back and at some point I went back to it with the room.
You did go back to 80.
Exactly.
Was it?
Until
If you're just going back, if you're at 80, you're going back to Fort Jefferson to switch out a non-functioning vacuum. And then you're going to return to 80 Mount Spring. You're at Fort Jefferson a lot longer than you would expect that to be the case.
I probably stayed there for a while. Maybe I was in the computer. I could be, I don't know, maybe I stayed and then I went, I don't remember going back with the room.
You definitely went back.
Okay, with the room and I swiped.
We're not quizzing you on time. We're not quizzing you on time. We're asking you what kinds of things you did. Which would account for times that we know are the case. So we're just trying to understand. For instance, another thing is you told us you were washing windows.
No, I never said I was washing windows.
You said you were cleaning windows.
No, I did not. That's a lie.
I'm not lying. We're not lying.
I never said, I said I looked at the window and I saw Fotis.
We're talking about the previous interviews. You're saying that right here. Things you say now.
Well, no, I didn't.
They're not all the same.
And I didn't.
You'd like me to think.
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting because there's another thing that we can play for you. Do you realize that? I'm not sure you.
Detective, I'm just going to stop it at 154:57. You indicated that the defendant had said in the previous interviews that she was washing windows, and she indicated that she hadn't said that. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Now, did she say that in her previous interviews?
She in fact did not.
Was that a mistake?
Yes.
Okay, where did that information come from?
That information came from Pavel Gomeni, who stated that when he arrived at 80 Mountain Spring Road, Fotis told him that Michelle Troconis had been washing windows.
She corrected you.
She corrected us, yes.
So, you play back the video.
You have to see it from our point of view. Like I said earlier, we have a lot that we did when we finished. You remember in explicit detail a lot of the things I'm going to call silly, pointless things that were maybe important to you, like the receipt was in my purse on the counter. But now when we're getting into like the grid, you're not remembering the explicit details that you really need to remember to help yourself. Okay.
I don't understand. Can you explain?
You remember a lot of simple details. I went and took a picture with the robot. I was going to this person's house, going to that person's house. But now that we're at a place that's very important, I don't know if I was going for 10 minutes or an hour and a half, but leading up to that, you're very, very good.
Can I tell you how? Because I asked Bill for the chats. I asked my family for the chats. I asked my dad, everybody that I usually talk to, even in court, I asked them for chats, conversations.
So you've been going through all that.
I've been going, and that's how I know, okay, I went to bed at this time, I got my AT&T phone note, so that's how I know at what time I was talking to whoever I was talking or texting. That's why I remember, but it's not because I have an Iron Man memory. So I'm sorry, if I said I was feeling me up.
We definitely said you were.
Okay,
That's why we're asking you.
Okay,
Why you're not saying that?
what I remember, I said I was in the bathroom and I was looking through the window and I saw Fotis, fix the ribbons of the street. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what I heard.
Okay, we may.
Or maybe I mean, I don't remember.
I remember hearing about there being grass and so on and so forth, but I don't think that the grass had been seeded, soil, so they could grow the grass. The grass was in that city on the road.
I didn't do the rest.
No, we don't, we're not seeing any different options. It becomes confusing. I understand.
So the thing that we all didn't hear when it actually happened, what we now have on tape that we collected. Do you remember this? Second, so as we hear the question first. You should hear the question. Oh, yeah, it's like,
Detective, what are you playing for the defendant at this point?
I'm playing a segment of the second interview that took place at Attorney Bowman's office on the 6th,
And how are you playing it?
playing it on a laptop computer.
So we're talking about, we're trying to continue to talk about Friday the 24th, and whether you saw Fotis or not. and all the email spring activities, which are very important in this case. Well, I didn't see photos yesterday. It's not recently my end.
So I don't attach the same significance to that that you do. Okay, because you're asking her, and look, I'm not here to get into a disagreement with anybody, but I mean, I remember, I was there at the time, and you were asking her. You're asking her about Egypt. I know. I know, listen. You know what the stakes are, right? So I want you to tell them everything you know about email that afternoon. Okay, so I just want you to be clear that it's very important.
Yes.
And I want everybody in this room to know that you understand the importance. Okay?
So again, I cleaned part of the house, I didn't clean the whole house. I just cleaned all these pieces that I told you. I cleaned the terrace. At some point, Fotis comes in and he asks for paper towel because he spilled something. I told him it's either in the kitchen or upstairs. He probably went to pick up the paper towel, clean whatever he wanted to clean. And at some point, I'm coming out and he gave me the paper towel. And I threw it in the garbage.
Paper towel.
Yes,
Paper towel.
yes.
What was he using paper towel?
He said that he spilled, I think it was coffee. And in one of the cars, that's what he told me. I'm not sure if that's true or not. The paper towel was dirty.
What color was the paper towel? What color was the dirty paper towel?
Brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you, I have a real hard time believing that you don't know what's going on here.
I didn't know what's going on.
Just going to pause it at 2:01:52. Detective, during the June 2nd, 2019 interview, did the defendant ever tell you that Mr. Dulos had given her a paper towel that was brown in color while she was at 80 Mountain Spring Road?
No, she did not.
How about during that June 6, 2019 interview? Did she ever include that detail during that interview?
She did not know.
No, I didn't see anything.
So he hands you a paper towel, he says he just spilled the coffee stains in one of the cars, but you don't know which car. Was it?
No, I believe it was in the Tacoma.
So he spilled coffee in the Tacoma?
He always carries coffee and he makes me buy the coffee things, Dixie, whatever they're called in the supermarket.
Where was he standing? Where was Fotis standing?
Outside,
When he hands you this paper towel?
I was getting out of the garage to go towards outside and he was coming, so we met there.
Where was he coming from? Which direction?
From the garage, from the outside of the house.
Did you walk out? Did you walk up the garage?
I came out from the terrace, the kitchen, and the garage. There's a door. Have you been to the house or not?
We have other pictures. I've seen photos of it, I know the general layout.
Yeah. And being out in the garage towards outside the house where the cars were.
Right by the garage.
The cars were actually out here.
Yeah.
That's when we bumped the roots. I mean, he says here, and I threw it in the garbage that was in the kitchen.
So where is the?
And the Tacoma was standing here.
The Tacoma.
The Tacoma was here. I believe the Cherokee was here, and the Suburban. And
Where
this
is
is the house. Here.
Where's this?
Here.
Okay.
This is all like
Are the doors open on any of the cars?
I didn't see that in that moment. Yeah. And then at some point, Babel arrives. And that's when I see Babel. That I believe it's around almost 5, maybe 4:30. I did also talk on the phone with a lady of the rocks. Yes. And she told me to pick up that they were closing earlier that day because they were slow people. I saw the text that at some point a text with Rex Smith, is a water skier. I also at some point spoke with my dad because I have calls from my dad.
Okay.
I'm just telling you things that happen, but I'm not exactly in terms of time.
So that was in the fun. You left at some point, 80 Mountain Road, to go to the drugstore, in Farber. Is that correct?
But that was actually like 25, we were all leaving.
Can we start the time? Sure. That's just a very short time before. Go ahead. Go ahead. Talk about what happened when Pavel.
But I arrived, Fotis and I, we were like against a car.
Which car?
The Tacoma.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Fotis was like behind me, like physical contact. Pavel arrives. I think Fotis or Pavel says I didn't see anything or we weren't doing anything. I think something like a joke.
Any physically that you two were. Yeah, okay.
I believe Pavel started talking to Fotis about the house in New Canaan. I guess like how was the day or whatever. And at some point, I mean, I have to go because I wanted to go and get my drugs. So I think I said I have to go to get my drugs, and I think we all left pretty much at the same time. I think he turned around because he was parked here, so I think he backed up and he left. In the
He thought was
he lives in the Raptor.
When you left, okay, where were the cars?
The Tacoma was here. The Cherokee somewhere in here. The Suburban and the Raptor here, because you're right. More or less or what I remember.
So when you leave, what do you say?
Well, I think we all left. I think Pavel lives first. I'm not sure, but I think Fotis also lives in the Suburban. I live in the Cherokee. Fotis calls me and says, you took the keys for Pavel's car, or you have the keys of Pavel's car. No, he called me, like, I think the call was at 5:16.
Where were you when you received that call?
I was either in the house or driving to the house. I mean, I was somewhere in Deerfield, in the road, Deerfield, in the house. Okay, when I was in the house. And then I said, well, I'll need you here. And
Why did you take the keys?
the keys were in the car, in the Cherokee.
Keys were in the Cherokee.
The keys were in the Cherokee because he said, you took the keys. I said, I did. He said, yes, you took the keys for the car. And I.
That's not true. That's not true.
Oh.
Shut up. That is not true. I understand that Pavel came here for 10 hours.
Okay, well, so then I took the keys.
Talk to us.
I know.
So how did you get the keys to the Tacoma?
That part.
Just to show a little work. How did you get the keys to the Tacoma?
The keys of the Tacoma, they can be either. Well, the Fotis could put it in the car. Or if I took the keys, it probably was in the, I don't know, I middle there in the car.
You ended up with keys.
I ended up with the keys.
Just for the story also.
Yeah, there is, right. And this is step one of how the keys came in your possession. I want to be clear on how that happened. So do you remember? I got one. Do you remember how you got the keys?
No, I don't, but the keys were, I had the keys, I did have the keys. I get outside the house, I give the keys to Fotis. I think Pavel, I don't think I saw Pavel turning on the motorcycle, the Honda. And he was gonna take the Honda home. And then I think I did because I wanted to do the box, but it was late. And I wasn't gonna make it, so I didn't.
I'm getting confused now. You get a call from Fotis, and he says you took the keys to Tacoma, bring them back, is that correct?
But I didn't bring it back, I was in the house. I
You were in the
said,
house?
I come to the house, or I'm here in the house. So they
Bring
had
the
me,
keys back to the East Springs?
no,
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 you sure?
I'm sure. I didn't, I gave the key in the house.
Okay.
At the house, yes. I did not go back to Wayne. And
So the transfer of the keys took place before that, and you handed them to
Fotis,
Fotis?
yes,
Where was Pavel?
doing something with the motor,
Pavel was there too.
yes.
Was there any conversation prior to your meeting at 80 Mountain between Fotis and Pavel about Tacoma staying at 80 Mountain Road?
Not that I know.
Not that you heard, not that you're aware of? Fotis didn't want him to take the Raptor for the weekend, that didn't come up, there was no discussion that you witnessed about that?
Not in front of me.
Not in front of
And
you?
for what I've understood, I took the Tacoma, and that actually, I told him, how did he take the motor? How did he put the motor on top of the vehicle? He says that he goes to 585 in Fairfield, and then he backs up in a place that there's a hill, and he puts the motorcycle on. That's what they explained.
Jim, did Fotis ever tell you that Papa wanted to sell the Tacoma?
Yes.
When did that take place?
That I think he told me that, I think it was on Wednesday in the car wash. Yes, at some point he tells me, I think Pavel wants to sell his car, and he asked me to stay with the Cherokee. And I said, I don't care, the only thing that if I want the Cherokee for the weekends to go somewhere far, I mean, I don't care. He said, oh, no, that's not gonna be a problem. But that conversation was, I believe it was on Wednesday when I went to take him to the car wash.
You remember the date, was that Wednesday?
29.
So the 29th on Wednesday, you took Fotis.
Just gonna pause it at 2:13:21 p.m. Detective Kimball, during your June 2nd, 2019 interview, did the defendant ever say to you that she had gone to a car wash either with or at close in time to Mr. Dulos with the Tacoma?
No, she did not.
How about in that June 6, 2019 interview?
No.
Did the topic of a car wash ever come up during that first interview on June 2nd?
She mentioned the word car wash, but it was out of context. She did not elaborate in any way on the car wash.
Thank you.
Pavel's Tacoma?
No, for this, at some point calls me and says, pick me up at the car wash in the parking lot. And so I went to pick him up, and then we went to meet with Andy. So we drove in.
Okay, a little more detail, okay, because we're really kind of jumping in. Because there was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or all days.
Yeah, I believe Pavel took the Tacoma, because actually that night we were in the Raptor. And the next day, Fotis took the Suburban, supposedly to see the kids, and I had the Cherokee. And the Sunday the same, he had the Suburban, because he was gonna supposedly pick up the kids in New York. And I had the Cherokee. So I believe Pavel did take the Tacoma. That's Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. With the motorcycle.
So the day of the car wash, you're home and you get a phone call from Fotis to come meet you?
Yes, he said, come pick me up at wait, I drop off the car in school, I go back to the house, I get change. And he said, he either told me I have to drop the car in the car wash, and pick me up in the parking lot, which I did, I picked him up. We came here and then
Wait, just, okay,
well,
exactly what you
I went to pick him up, he came, I changed seats, and he drove the Yukon.
Yeah.
We had the Yukon,
The rental.
the rental.
Now, your understanding of them taking the Tacoma to get washed was for what reason?
He told me that Pavel wanted to sell the car, and that I mean, the whole, what I understood was that the whole philosophy was that Ariel was gonna stay with the Cherokee for a while until he gets a different car. And I said, I don't mind. I don't mind him staying with the Cherokee as long as I go on a weekend somewhere, I can have the Cherokee because it's easier to drive.
And what day was that explained to you, that Manuel was gonna have the Cherokee?
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
when he went to the car wash.
so the day of Carlos.
So, all right, so he calls you, says, pick me up, is that right?
Yeah, we're talking, yeah, on the phone, at some point he called me like at 9:11, and I go, or vice versa, I called him at 9:11, he calls me at 9:13. But we end up on 44, there's a car wash. In that car wash, in the parking lot, I pick him up. Obviously, I changed seats, he drove to come down here.
Yeah, that's the first day you meet with Attorney Bowman.
Yes. And I don't know what time you arrived here, but,
Okay, so
and
then,
then on the way back, I received a phone call from the car wash at 1:39 saying that the car was ready. I didn't give them my phone number because I didn't go and talk to them. It was Fotis. Okay. And then as driving back, I'm not 100%. Either after the meeting with Andy, we drove back to Farmington. Stops in the bank. Then I'm not sure if I picked up Nicole in the school. I don't know, this part I'm not right. And then back to the car wash, that I dropped him off to pick up the car, and then I drove back home, or I went to pick up Nicole. That's, I mean, the car, it was the car. I mean,
So where were you? When did Fotis leave that morning? When did Fotis leave? He drove out of Jefferson with Tacoma, right?
yeah,
Do you know when he left the house that morning?
no, but I think it was like around 9. I believe, I'm not talking about.
Where were you when he left? You
Eh,
still at the house?
I was in the house, but I probably went out right after him to pick up him.
You went right after Michelle.
I know,
You may ask a
I
question,
think I
Michelle.
went after him to pick
Well,
up.
after him could be a minute after him, a second after him, or an hour after him.
No, it wasn't an hour.
Okay.
It was
So,
close to going after him, like immediately.
immediately after him?
Yes.
So were you following him out of the driveway? Or did you leave a few minutes after he left?
I think it was immediately, like right after him.
Okay, so were you following him out of the driveway, or was it a few minutes after he left that you
No, it
left?
can be farther, it can be farther.
And when he dropped the car off at Russell Street, where were you?
In the parking lot, in the car.
You were in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he dropped the car off. So how do you need to have a phone call from him to come pick him up? Because you're with him, dropping off the car.
I wasn't with him, he was in another car, and I was in another.
You were in the parking lot.
We spoke, and probably we spoke about that, I'm gonna drop off the car, go and drive to Andy. We had 2 calls. What did we talk? I don't know, but obviously I did drop him off. I'm not saying I didn't drop him off. Not drop him, I mean, I was in a car.
That he had to call you to come pick him up. So you were in the parking lot of Russell Speeders. He's dropping off the car,
Yes.
making arrangements to have it detailed, correct?
No, I didn't say any of that. I was in the parking lot. Okay, I was in the parking lot. I never talked to the
I
car.
understand that.
Okay,
So
so,
he goes into Russell Speeders
yes,
to drop off the Tacoma to
yes,
get it detailed.
yes.
You were in the parking lot of Russell Speeders. Is that correct?
Yes, I was in the
Okay, so
parking lot.
once he leaves, he drops it. He comes out of Russell Speeders.
He told me where are you?
Shut him up. He comes out of the office, he's paid for the detail. Does he get into your car?
He gets into the car, yes.
Okay. So I don't understand why he needs to call you and tell you to come pick him up.
No, maybe it's where are you? It's happening in the parking lot. Like, looking for me in the parking
So all
lot.
I know is he tells us.
I know.
He's come and pick me up, so that's why I'm asking.
Where am I?
Is this a good time to take a break, Judge?
10 more minutes.
Yes, sir.
Where are you? To come to the car.
So you followed him to Russell Speeder, he went and left your phone number apparently,
Yes.
Right. and then he comes out, he gets into your, well, you guys switch, you're in the rental, Yukon, and 2 of you drive down together to Attorney Bowman in Westport, correct? And then sometime during the afternoon through 1:39, you get a call, and you go back to Russell Speeder.
I'm not sure if we went to drive, no, first I don't know if we were driving from here to Farmington,
Right, I'm listening.
At some point, I know he stops in the back.
What, right?
And maybe I drop him there, or I.
Next week. So you guys are back, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I mean,
Detective Kimball, what are you showing the defendant? I paused it at 222:17.
Those are two still frames from the People's Bank surveillance from the ATM machine, which is essentially directly across from Russell Speeders.
I would say People's Bank, it's now M&T Bank.
It's out now M&T Bank, correct?
there he is.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, yes, you go to the bank and then you.
Do I go to pick up his phone, or?
Do you remember? I'm just asking. Do you remember you go?
Well, I don't know, but I know I went to walk up to the car wash and I saw him.
I want to go back to the email for just 1 second. Lois hands you the paper towel, the brown substance. Where did you place that?
In one of the black bags.
One of the black bags?
Yes.
Is that the only thing you placed in the black bag?
No, I put some paper towels that I used. And then that was it. I left all the cleaning supplies in the kitchen.
So that's the only thing you saw or throughout that he gave you at 89. Anything else you threw out? Stuff that you used?
Yes.
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 Did all that stuff go into that one bag?
I don't know, because I never went back to the house and I didn't pick up the cleaning supplies or anything. I guess at some point, if Fotis went back to pick up the Tacoma, he probably took everything. And I never went back to that city to 89 after that.
On Friday. What do you mean you never went back after you left? Which time? After you went home to switch out the vacuum cleaner, right?
Yes, and
Then
then
you
we went
went back.
back, yes, but when we all left, since we all left, which I believe it was around 5,
Okay.
I never went back to 80.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Still confused. Did you ever take Fotis on Friday? Did you ever take Fotis back to Jefferson?
What do you think?
So you and Fotis at some point are both at 80.
Uh-huh.
You go back to Fort Jefferson around 407. And do you remember taking Fotis back to Jefferson? Or having Fotis and you drive back to Jefferson? On Friday?
It could be that he came to grab the phone.
So you don't remember how?
No, I think I took his phone that it was on charge
Took his phone?
to charge it, I think. Can it be? I don't know.
You were there.
I know, but I don't know, maybe he gave me the phone because he said I have no battery. And when I went and charged it at some point, then I left.
Then you left.
I mean, I went back
You're
to,
gonna say where you
I
are.
went back from Fort Jefferson, I went back to 80.
You just took the phone back? Is this an 80 or is this you did it?
I think I did, I think I took his phone to charge.
Because it's battery. And he remained at 80,
Yes.
doing what? Cleaning out the Tacoma?
No.
Oh,
I saw him, I told you, outside, I saw him, at some point he went down to the basement because the door I saw it open. And no, that's it. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. I was inside the house.
Not when you needed to do the towel work. Not when you needed to do the dirty towel you brought outside the house.
So I was walking outside the house and that's what we met. And the only time I was out is in the porch, in the terrace outside the house, but looking towards the lots.
You got on the north side, the north.
To the lots.
Sure.
This is the house. There's a tree here that I like because this tree, I like it because I would use from one of the rooms. And the porch is here, and the garage is here, and all the garage parking is here.
The north is this way. So the lot is here.
And he has these 2 lots for sale.
Right.
Well, one is supposed to be sold.
This will be an appropriate time to take the recess.
Yes, sir. Pause it at 227:29.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our afternoon recess. Please do not discuss the case.
this afternoon, but I sent a copy to the court last night, motion to eliminate with respect to defense experts.
Yes.
My concern is that I anticipate the state is going to be resting sometime early next week. And so I would like that motion to be heard sooner than later. I'm not saying it needs to be heard right this second, but my concern, Judge, frankly, is that these experts could be on the stand as early as next week, and we have basically really no information about what they're going to be testifying to in writing. And it's a grave concern for the state. Frankly, I think that they should be excluded, but we'll take that up at the appropriate time.
Very briefly, I marked for ID the two extensive CVs of the two experts I mentioned. One is Dr. Elizabeth Loftus, who's probably the most preeminent expert in the country on memory and things that affect memory. So first of all, the suggestion that he doesn't know anything, I'm going to ask the court, I marked the two items for identification and anticipation of this. They are, I just have the letters for the record. So the court will at least in anticipation know that they.
And Judge, just to correct the record.
Excuse me.
Well,
I
have to
JJ,
correct
and
the
more
record,
importantly,
Judge,
Your Honor,
because frankly,
Attorney
he's
Felsen offered to
misrepresenting what
me.
the state said.
It's time for recess because court is not going to entertain and the monitor is not going to entertain counsel talking at the same time. So we'll come back. 3:25.
All right.
Okay, so the court has a copy of the state's motion in limine regarding defense experts dated February 15th, 2024.
Yeah, just very briefly. So I marked.
Mr. Connors can be seated.
I had indicated even before I provided the disclosures that the state is correct when they were handed, that I was planning on calling or believing I may be calling these witnesses that deal with obvious things like just memory in general. The Nooses case was the case that at one point the state tried to remember and they couldn't remember the name of the case. I found it, I've read that case. That case specifically says that the defense does not have to have a report prepared by an expert. And what the court needs to understand is a report prepared by a privately retained expert is very expensive, especially it's not a case where either of those experts evaluated Ms. Troconis, went, talked to her, or in any way have to testify or will testify about her specific person. They're talking in general about the items that affect matters such as stress, fatigue, shock, the things that have already been established in the case. And the second witness, that's Dr. Loftus. The second witness, Dr. Or Professor Marianne, deals with the issues of how people who speak more than one language, how they process information, how interruptions can affect their ability to repeat or report information accurately. So in general. Now, what's concerning to me is twofold. Number one, last Friday, the court specifically asked the state when they were going to conclude. And they said they expected to conclude on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, even if there was a snowstorm and the jury wasn't here this past Tuesday, which there was. Now I'm hearing that they're saying that they're going to conclude sometime during the week, which is a problem because I have witnesses flying in, multiple witnesses flying in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that's why the court asked the state those questions. So that's concerning to me as well. Together with the fact that the whole morning was spent over my objection, the court overruled my objection, rehashing evidence that had already been admitted over the course of the last almost 5 weeks. Therefore, we missed a couple of hours of being able to complete this witness's testimony and the playing of the third interrogation, which I know we're not even, well, we might just, no, we're not even at the half point yet, according to the transcript anyway. It could even be longer if there's delays, that is pauses. So what I wanted to say in response, I think that the state's motion is without merit. I believe that whatever they're arguing that they don't have enough time, what Mr. McGinnis failed to tell the court is Ms. Belson offered to actually this weekend give Mr. McGinnis every area that we would be covering with these witnesses. I'm going to be speaking to them on the weekend. And at this point, I only have the general areas that have been set forth. And it's I'll note it's 45 page CV, it lists all of the articles, everything that Professor Loftus has written about, and it's all within the scope of that. And the final point I'll make, Your Honor, is this. The state suggests, and I submit erroneously, that they have complied and given me all of the reports of their expert witnesses in a timely fashion. And I will just state for the record that is simply untrue. Now, I have not made an issue of it. We've been given the name of a witness the night before. In the case of raw data, yeah, they gave us raw data, such as that Burla report, which Your Honor heard, it's like 1,000 pages or more long. And you can't tell from that what's relevant and what's not. You can look at it just like somebody gives me, 6 months or 2 years of AT&T records, until they actually do a report. Even Agent Hoyling's report was done February 8th, excuse me, I believe. I can't remember. But the point being, I sucked it up. I got it. The gentleman from the lab who did the Burla investigation, I got that report with the maps that morning. Did I complain that we had to postpone the trial so I could contact someone else and go into it? No. So my point here, Your Honor, is I have witnesses that are lined up. Now it's going to be towards the end of next week, but the state has had ample time, and their suggestion that they don't is not well taken under any theory or reading of Manousis. Thank you.
Judge, I don't even know where to begin, but I guess I'll start with marking a couple of things for identification, since that's a theme for this hearing. Judge, I'm handing forward what has been marked for identification. It states 150 and 151, which are 2 engagement letters between Attorney Schoenhorn and his quote expert witnesses. Just ask the court, perhaps direct you to the last page, which is the date of signature.
Thank you.
Judge, this is absolute trial by ambuscade. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The defense is playing games. That's all this is. The reality is that neither of these experts were on their witness list. They have dropped, and Attorney Schoenhorn somehow suggests that a 45-page CV alleviates any prejudice. That belies common sense, Judge. The fact that the CV is so long and we've been given still no clear direction on what she's going to testify to. He's going to speak with her this weekend, I think is what he said. How can we possibly prepare adequate cross-examination under these circumstances? And the defense, and this happens often, they mistake having a burden of proof with not having a burden of production. They are not the same thing. If they want to call an expert witness, they have to give us adequate notice. They let us know that they were calling these 2 witnesses. One was as late as February 6th. The other one was January 30th. Attorney Manning asked Attorney Schoenhorn to please put what she would be testifying to in writing, and he did not. And as evidenced by today, he refuses to do so, okay? And so we are really at a real disadvantage here, Judge. And I want to say this. We don't know whether or not we're going to need to file a Porter hearing. I have no idea whether or not this type of testimony has been accepted in Connecticut before, mostly because I don't have an adequate proffer as to each witness. With respect to Dr. Marion, I've never heard of this science until Mr. Schoenhorn brought it to our attention. So we might be looking at some Porter hearings next week if we do go forward. Mr. Schoenhorn repeatedly misquotes the state in his oral arguments. What I said was we would be resting sometime early next week, i.e. Tuesday. So he says we would rest sometime during the week. Again, he just misquotes us. But Judge, really the issue here, it's a matter of fundamental fairness. We have done our best to collaborate with the defense. We have done our best to accommodate their many requests. Attorney Schoenhorn brings up the Burla report, and that's interesting because he was given that report years ago and asked Attorney Manning if it could be sort of a Reader's Digest version, could be put together. And so we did that for him, and that's the version that he got, the version that he requested. Okay? So these are misstatements of the record, to say the least, Judge. And they are false equivalencies, okay? Now, with respect to Attorney Felsen offering for me to have an opportunity to speak with Dr. Loftus, that is true. The reason I didn't mention it is because I said we weren't going to be arguing this at that point. I just wanted to bring it to the court's attention to argue it, not because I was somehow trying to withhold information from the court. But what's interesting about that is Attorney Felsen asked me whether or not I had received her email about speaking with Dr. Loftus. And I said, no, I haven't seen that. She said, I emailed you. I said, well, I haven't seen it. And then she approaches me and says, actually, I don't see the sent email to you, but you could speak with Dr. Loftus this weekend if you want. So if you look at the Jackson case, Judge, which we cited in our memorandum, Justice McDonald specifically said in that opinion that offering one party to speak with the opposing party's expert is inadequate. It's inadequate because that expert is not just going to say, here are all the weaknesses in my testimony that you can expose on cross-examination. So if we look at the Jackson case, which I think is really the model here in terms of late disclosure. Now, in that case, it was the state and the defendant was complaining about late disclosure. They are way over the line in terms of the disclosure here. And they still refuse to give us anything concrete in writing so that we can prepare cross-examination. This is a farce. And the false equivalencies of what we've been doing and what they've been doing have got to stop. If you look at the engagement letters, Judge, they engaged these two experts in August of 2020 and February of 2021. Why weren't they on the so-called list of names that might come up? Why weren't they on that list if they might have come up? I mean, if you look at the engagement letters, if deemed desirable by the attorneys, the business associate shall offer expert testimony in either court or by deposition. So that's a name that might come up. Yet for some reason, we didn't get it. We didn't get it until January 30th. We didn't get it until February 6th. Judge, they should be precluded from offering this testimony. Otherwise, we need a continuance and they need to have their experts write a report. And this is going to take a really long time because this is unfair. This is fundamentally unfair.
What the court
May I
does not,
respond quickly?
well, this is not a matter of the response at this point.
I
The court
understand.
has to make sure the jury isn't ambushed. Now, looking back on the history of the pretrial proceedings, the court recalls that Dr. Ruva had a report that was made available. So the court is not unaware that when reports are requested, they're made available by the defense. The state's witnesses have had reports made available. The issue here, in this court's view, is whether the state, in fairness and in the interests of justice, can mount an effective cross-examination based on a 45-page curriculum vitae. And the court's view is that they cannot. The state is probably not even, based on the representations, novitiates at understanding this area of memory or psychology, whatever area it falls into. So they cannot even mount an effective cross-examination. The failure to have a report, if the expert has written 100 books, it wouldn't be that difficult to generate a report. It could be cut and paste. In this court's view, it's an ambush. Unless the testimony by the expert is so general that it wouldn't constitute an ambush. But then it wouldn't be expert testimony. The court is not going to inquire for the reason there is no report. The court has heard that they're expensive to prepare. The court understands that. That expense does not outweigh the state's opportunity to cross-examine. Now that just concerns the expert on memory. The expert on cell site placement may deserve different consideration. Cell site placement is, in this court's view, well, depending on who the expert is, not going to be essentially a substantial component of the defense. There's no need to, at this point in the trial, to pretend what this case is about. This case is about the credibility of the defendant and the physical evidence. Cell site placement is not going to be a significant component of the defense. So the court is not as concerned about no report for the expert who will testify concerning cell site placement. But concerning memory, the court is concerned. Because that is the gravamen of the defense. If this is just a matter of slipped memory and not willful failure to disclose information, that's a substantial slice of the defense. And the state should have an opportunity to cross-examine. But with a 45-page curriculum vitae and 100 books, the state is not going to have a reasonable opportunity to do that. The court looks back to the testimony of Dr. Ruba. It appeared in that instance the state had a significant opportunity to cross-examine. There was a report. The state combed that report in its examination, its cross-examination. That opportunity is not here. So concerning the memory expert, court grants the motion. Concerning the cell site placement expert, the motion is denied.
And Judge, does that also include Dr. Viorica Marion, who apparently was going to testify about linguistics and memory?
Yes.
I just want to point out, Your Honor, that the court did not allow me to put all the stuff on the record that I was going to put on. So I just want the court to be aware of a couple of things. First of all, the fact that I retained people to consult years ago is very clear that until they were necessary to be witnesses, that was when Detective Kimball first testified. Even while he was still on the stand, that's when it was first disclosed to the state that I intended to call an expert potentially, but I had not yet had an opportunity to follow up with that. But it gave the CVs that I was given at that point. This goes, what the court is doing, I want to be clear, this is the defense. So the court is specifically denying the defendant to put on a defense. And State versus Manousis specifically says the court does not have the authority under the practice book rule that the state had cited in its motions to require the defendant to prepare a report at her expense. So until the decision was made, I've consulted with a lot of experts, including a cell site expert, so I would be able to intelligently, I consulted with a DNA expert, I consulted with a CD tower expert. The question about whether they would be necessary for trial is something that comes up during the course of the state's case and not ahead of time. So to suggest, and I want to note that I was given a note here, one of the things that Attorney Felsen offered to do was give actual transcripts of Dr. Loftus's testimony from other cases, which I know Mr. McGinnis failed to note to the court. So if the court is saying the defendant is not allowed to put on its defense, and that's the main point of its defense. In fact, I would say it's the sole basis of defense, other than there is no evidence of her involvement on any of these charges, then at least I want the court and the record to be clear that that's what the court is doing. I'm also aware that every one of, or many of her testimonies are also available on public websites, so they could have looked at that. And again, we're talking about January, so they've had all that time. They give me, and the court has permitted it, the night before I'm given the name of a witness for the next morning. I'm given no extra notice. So what the court has now done is they've countenanced this entire trial with a state by ambuscade or ambushot. The last minute, I have to prepare that night for the next day's witnesses. And Your Honor would not even require them to do a full of who they actually were going to call as witnesses. There are 180 names on their list, 150 to 180, I don't know the exact number. And I was told I have to be ready to cross-examine any one of them, because if they're on their list, that's their list. So I want the court to understand that it would be maybe the only case in Connecticut history where the court has precluded the defense because of and I submit, an erroneous allegation by the state that they don't have enough time to prepare. We've sat through hours, we've sat through days, Your Honor, of testimony of witnesses saying we didn't find anything. I objected to that. The court allowed all that in, even though it had no relevance to the case. And I submit will confuse the jury. Your Honor pointed out I could cross-examine on the absence of evidence. But when it comes to the right to present a defense, it's paramount. We're not on the same team. The state has a burden, has a statutory burden to turn over everything. And there is nothing that this court ordered There's nothing that was required to be turned over that would require the defense to prepare a report, quote unquote, by experts. And these are not scientific experts. So even the statement about State versus Porter, perhaps Mr. McGinnis doesn't know that under Connecticut law, Connecticut has not adopted the Cumho tire line of cases. So under Connecticut, the only expert Porter hearings have to do with new scientific research, scientific reports, such as DNA and whatnot, and whether STR mix would be admissible. So I just want the court to be aware that, and I'm saying this on the record, the court is denying the defendant his constitutional right under the state and federal constitution to present a defense. Now, the last thing I want to
Well,
ask
before you
is,
proceed, counsel, this court's practice is not to impugn counsel, but there is the practice of impugning the court. What the court is doing is the result of what the court is doing may be, in counsel's view, to deny the defendant an effective defense.
yeah, I apologize, I'll rephrase that the effect of the court's ruling is to deny the defendant the right to present a defense. And I just want to clarify, though, is the court also precluding general teaching testimony on the subject as well, even if it does not refer to the specifics of this case?
Well, the court has no idea what is going to be the testimony. That's the concern.
Well, I
And here's
didn't,
what the court did not want and would not allow: that there be a rerun of these 7 hours and the videos be stopped, and then the expert is asked, what about this? What about that? 25 minutes in, what about that? 18 minutes after that, what about that? Court wouldn't allow that. So even if the court were to indicate to be some testimony allowed, it wouldn't allow that.
understood.
And the court's second view is there's a Sixth Amendment right to a speedy and public trial before an impartial jury in the state and district in which the crime shall have been committed, which shall have been previously ascertained by the law. The defendant shall have the right to cross-examine, bring in their own witnesses, subpoena witnesses, and have counsel for their defense. That does not mean the defendant can present any kind of defense at any time for however long, with whatever continuance is needed in any manner. You may proceed.
Judge, may I just be heard briefly?
Yes.
So firstly, he misreads Manousis entirely. Manousis does grant the court the authority to order the expert to produce in writing their opinions. That's number one. Number two, I would just note that Attorney Schoenhorn's argument really is a house of cards and it collapses, because what he indicated is that, once again, a false equivalency, that somehow the court is being unfair to the defense because they're only finding out who the witnesses are a day in advance because they're on our witness list. Listen carefully to that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't done, Your
they're on
Honor,
our
and I thought
witness
he was
list.
going to interject and said he's now doing his rebuttal.
They're-
I'm
The
not
court
used to
the
that.
court is going to give both counsel their opportunity, so we're not in a rush.
The difference, of course, is that our witnesses were actually on our witness list and theirs wasn't. So the argument, quite frankly, collapses on its face.
Attorney Schoenhorn.
Yes. The defense, I want to be clear, does not have a duty to produce a list of witnesses. Once a person is determined to be a witness, depending on the state's case, it is immediately produced, even though that's not the requirement. But what I just heard say was the court has the authority to order an expert to prepare a report, but the court never did that. So the fact that Manousis, in I think dictum, says that under one of the practice book rules, the court could order that, that didn't happen here. And what Manousis says is that under the practice book rule does not require a witness to prepare a report. And I'm indicating that we are in the process of interviewing those witnesses as it pertains to this case. So if the court wishes, and if that's going to be the issue, then between now and Tuesday, we will prepare a discovery response that will cover the areas that the witness is intending to respond to. But to suggest that we should be precluded from putting on testimony about how things like sleep deprivation, stress, etc., affect people's memory, the fact multiple people questioning at the same time, the implantation of drillings into somebody memories that then by the next time they become to believe is their own, again, without specific reference to any particular person. It's based on her, for example, Dr. Loftus, her 40 years of research and study.
Well, the court understands, counsel. The issue for the court is not whether there is what would be referred to as a report. As council knows, you can submit, or it has been submitted when a brief is asked for, a letter brief. Court hopes council has seen those.
I have, yes.
Or some sort of, in technical areas, some sort of abstract. But when there's nothing, that tilts the seesaw of fairness. So your expert, again, in this court's view, can cut and paste and put something together very quickly.
All right, I understand.
May I be heard, Judge?
Yes.
I mean, I would object to the defense being given that opportunity at this point because we've been asking for it. They haven't done it now because the court has precluded the testimony. They apparently want to dump a report on our laps at the last minute in some last-ditch effort to try to save this testimony. And it's still a late disclosure. We still don't know how much time we're going to need to digest this report, whether or not it's valid. By the way, Attorney Schoenhorn said it's not scientific. Well, if it's not scientific, then it shouldn't be admissible. That's my view. Because as the court indicated, if it's just general testimony, it's not expert testimony. So that's the first thing. But to try to have them resurrect this proffer after just arguing with the court for 15 minutes about how they didn't have to produce a report, I'd ask the court to not revisit its ruling because we're still going to be in the place we are, which is we're going to get a report dumped on our lap on Monday night, and we're going to be expected to cross next week. It's unfair.
Well, here's what the court is inclined to do. Of course, the report is going to be admitted as a full exhibit, correct? If there is a report, that's what generally would have to happen. The court would require, and this is irregular, the court would require what the court will term a report in whatever form it comes, like tonight at midnight. Email the court with the report. So the court knows that it has come in, made available to the state. Counsel had
I'll just say,
indicated.
Your Honor, I don't even know if we can reach these individuals by tonight. So that's part of the concern. Dr. Loftus is in California and Professor Marion is in Chicago.
And there it is. That's what I'm talking about. They want to dump it on us.
The court's ruling is tonight at midnight. They have assistants, the court would suspect, graduate students, fellows. And the court wants to know what has come in by tonight at midnight. The state has had an opportunity to receive it.
We need 5-minute recess so we can make a phone call right now.
That's fine. Let's come back in at 5 minutes after 4.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I have one moment to run outside?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Marshall, when the jury comes in, the audience need not stand up. Bring the jury in, please. Would council stipulate?
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
Judge, we're going to pick it back up at 2:27:29 PM.
The whole key thing is problematic. Is there anything,
Yeah, I think, whether it is, I think we can tell you more about the key situation.
okay. Do you need anything? Do you use bathroom? Do you need a coat? How do you feel like you're doing right now with this?
It's not like comfortable, but I can give you guys.
So I'm not sure I do.
Well, I'll tell you. Everything this has been like very shocking to me.
I understand that.
And like when we spoke 2 months ago, I mean, I was like completely in shock. I've been really working hard with athletes to try to memorize, not memorize, to figure out and bring my memory back to all this. What has helped me is chats, pictures,
Okay, well,
that I've been recollecting from people.
bring up more picture. I think that's a good move. Because we're here to determine which of these pictures, which of these folders, it's pretty thin folders, right? Are these gonna stay thin or are they gonna continue on? Being, having photos put into them. So there are certain things in my mind that are not gonna be anymore. Okay. This is you and photos, right?
Yeah,
This is not gonna be anymore. Ever. I'm just guessing. There are some other things that I'm hoping you still have an opportunity to partake. I mean, you call it some nice trips. Okay, this is you in your family in Cuba, I believe, one of those photographs. Right, these are your family, right?
well,
You-
this is my
Okay, this
best
is your
friend.
family, right?
Not family, this is my best friend, my best friend,
Okay,
and this is a wife of him, this is a kid of him.
but these people are important, right? Is this person important? to you?
No, because we got into all
You
this.
got through a lot of crap. These people are important to you, right? Yeah. No, I have to guess which time on 10 of the one they were pretty unfortunate. They walk right out of the house.
It's fine.
Is this person for you, Jeff? Okay. Because quite frankly, this person is, I don't even know Nicole. She's important to me because I don't want her to be without her mother. And I'll tell you right now, the way that things are going, I'm not feeling overly confident that you're being truthful enough with us to keep yourself together with her. Because, you know, Jennifer Valente, she and her boyfriend, Kyle David, she was sitting in your chair one time, telling us stories, kind of like what you're telling us. You know where she is right now? She's in prison for 8 years. I don't want that to be you, because I don't want her to be without a mom. So you need, we're not asking you difficult questions. These are things, Michelle, these are, I want you to tell what happened with Jennifer, what you know about what Fotis did to Jennifer. That's what I want to know.
Okay, I don't know.
Let's take a break. Yeah, take a few minutes now.
I think that's a lot.
It's just, I'm trying to shock you a little bit, because this is what comes down. All right? We're gonna. I'll count it out. If you want, go somewhere private, we can go to somewhere else. That's fine. Okay, where do you want it?
All right, if you should show us where I want to.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Just going to pause it at 2:32:08. Detective, in that last segment, you suggested to Attorney Bowman to take a break or ask if they needed a break. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why did you do that?
We wanted to have a little bit of regrouping. We give him a chance to speak to his client and hopefully talk some sense into her.
All right. At this point, Judge, if I have the court's permission, can I jump ahead 30 seconds at a
Yes.
time until everyone returns?
Yes.
And how long were you a federal prosecutor for?
Oh, a little under 3 years. I was, when I was, let's say I was out for 2 years, and I was a federal defender. So I did that for 4 years. I had 3 assistants who did whole state. It's a bigger office now.
Yeah. Rich out a little bit.
One of the guys who was an assistant of mine, he spent six months on trial. He's now on trial and questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gregory Craig, one of the best lawyers, he was charged in connection with, he was retained by the Ukrainian government.
Really?
And we charged him in connection with the foreign agent registration. So he's actually on trial.
Wow. Find themselves in the
But this guy was, he was Assistant Secretary of State. He was, one of the best lawyers in Washington.
Just going to pause it at 2:40:26. Attorney Bowman is speaking with another gentleman. Who's the other gentleman?
That's Detective Chris Allegro.
things seem to be going on better, change every night, so to speak. Such as Heard your day. What is special for you, Michael?
Sure. I want you to, because you're exhausted or tired.
Look. Again, from our standpoint, okay, the way we see things, what we learned, just a little bit of what that is. You have to look at this way. Fotis goes on Wednesday, prior to the 24th, to Great Farms to be with his kids, and he doesn't.
For what I'm new
All
for.
right, listen, just
Let me,
just
listen, see what I gotta say, and then you'll have all the opportunity. You send him a text, doesn't go through, he doesn't get it, he doesn't respond. You find angry. You send him an emoji of the middle finger. Days later, you still bring it up because you're still upset about it. Okay? I've been through your phone. I've seen your phone. I see all the little snippets of when Fotis gets a text message, he takes a little picture that you take. He gets a message from a female, it's in Greek, you're all over it. And I'm sure you bring it up to him, what's this? Okay? Now, let's go to the 24th Friday. You wake up, you go in your bedroom, Fotis isn't there. A few hours later, you come across his phone with Ken in the office, Fotis isn't there. And you expect us to believe that you didn't go looking for him the entire day, you didn't see him anywhere, you never questioned him, you weren't concerned about where he was, you didn't try to reach out to him. Why aren't you here? Why are you without your phone? Where are you? What are you doing? Yeah, I understand. So, we believe you know a lot more about this than what you're telling us. Okay, you don't want to call them lies, call them whatever you want. Then this document comes into play. You and Fotis sat down and did your documents. With Pavel. You guys do your documents, and here you talk about you wake up at 6:40 together, you take a shower. You go along with it.
Okay, but then I'm not saying that I think
Okay.
that's
The question is why, this is how it looks. This timeline. When we sat down with you the first time, this is the timeline you gave us. Okay, so I took the shower, I can read it to you. It's here, so let me finish my point. Okay, so you're going through all this stuff. But what do you not tell us about? You don't tell us about the ride to Hartford, we had to bring that up. In fact, it's not even in here. Never happened, but it did. Okay, let me finish. You don't tell us about the key that just happens to end up in the Cherokee plug. Pavel told us about the key. He even saw the key. And then he and Fotis disappeared. And when they come back, you and the key are gone. Not the way you said it happened, but the way Pavel said it happened. We have to call you, we have to bring the key back to them. So let me finish my point. So that's not in here. Then we fast forward to the 29th. And the car wash. None of that's in here. And that's all important stuff. I find it hard to believe a girl, a woman, because that on top of her man. You don't text me within the hour, I'm giving you the finger. That's all the conversation, it was the whole thing. And it wasn't the first time that happened, where you guys went back and forth. All right? And then he's getting text messages from other women in Greek, and you're all over him. There's tons of women on that phone. Videos, pictures. Don't worry about that. I'm just talking about you because it kind of shows us a lie about you. And now he's not there, just so happens to be the day that his wife knows this. He's not there, but his phone is. Did you ever ask him? Or were you?
Well, after when the police came, yes.
Okay.
For the police
Okay,
came at
so-
8:30 at night.
There's so much to this. There's no way you just didn't know. You're too involved. You're there. How do you get this? So you really need to tell us what you truly know. You've been given a gift. All right, you've been given a gift to give yourself lots of freedoms in the future that you may not have. Jennifer Linton, her boyfriend, kills his two parents. They go missing. The girlfriend, she doesn't know anything. She gets arrested for one of the two charges you're charged with. She goes to jail for a lot less than what we have on you. She's doing 8 years. 8. And that's what you're looking at. If you have multiple counts, you have to explain this to you. Help yourself and tell us what you know, because we all believe you know a lot more. And if we're going to continue to go through the timeline, we're all set.
So after Wednesday, when he goes, he's with Jennifer, send him the middle finger emoji, because he doesn't respond. Just, actually, it's not sergeants. You're pissed off at him on Wednesday, right? You're mad at him? You are, because why else did you give him that? That's a F you, right?
Yeah.
So you're mad at him. Then on Friday, you wake up, he's not there. You don't know where he is. You told me you didn't know where he was, right? How do you not ask him where he was when he comes home for lunch? How does that happen?
Okay.
Do you know more, yes or no? And if you do, give us that answer and then start telling us. If not, I think we're all set.
Okay.
From the beginning, when you started to think about this.
No, that I don't know.
Do you know more, yes or no?
No, I don't know about anything that is declined or anything. I'm
Do
just
you know
telling
more about this, yes or no?
I don't know about what.
About Jennifer going missing and all the details that surround it? Do you know more than what you
No,
told
I'm
us, yes
just
or no?
telling you. What he was like when I came out of the what's the whole name of the A mountain and he asked for the paper towel, yes, he was cleaning the Tacoma.
He was cleaning the.
Tacoma.
Alright, so you've given us a lot of detail, but it's not the detail we need to hear.
Okay.
Just Fotis was cleaning the Tacoma. You saw
Because he said
more.
he's still home.
You need to give us
Okay,
that detail.
I'll give you every detail.
Explicit
That
detail.
Wednesday, I tell you, please. I didn't know where, I thought he was in Grace Farm. I found out that he wasn't in Grace Farm when he spoke with Jacob, probably Monday at night, and Jacob said, Fotis, were you inside that house that night? Were you, when you were having dinner? And I didn't know, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, because if there's a hair, a piece of skin, whatever, of you inside that house, you're in big trouble.
From that house, Jennifer.
Jennifer's house.
Well, yeah, we're Jennifer.
No, yeah.
And his response was,
No, I did not go in.
no, I did not go in.
Yes,
Okay.
But you didn't go to that house.
I didn't
You're not
know.
going in.
I didn't know. So that's when I got really pissed off and I said, you lied to me.
Sure.
You didn't go, you told me that you were in Grace Park and that's why there was no signal.
This is the
Of
Michelle
course-
we want to talk.
Of course I was upset that day, because that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that was on a Monday that he spoke with Jacob that night. Okay, then prior of that day, I knew, because Fotis was lying to me. He told me that the day before Mother's Day, that I was in Boston with Nicole, and he came later that night. I said, how was your day? Oh, we had a fantastic time. We went to the fair. Wait. That was when was Mother's Day? Maybe 12, so 11. He went to the fair with the kids and the supervisor. Okay. And he said, oh, we had a nice time. Okay, perfect. I went to the kids. It was chosen. Okay, good. That night, and then he said, Constantine went to a lacrosse match. I'm like, and again, I'm like, why she does that? Why she takes the kids when it's your day to have them all? And he goes, well, you know how she is. And she said, no, but she just picked him up and took him to the whatever game. Okay. The next day, we were with all the family of Mark having celebrating Mother's Day, and I hear Fotis telling Mark that Jennifer spent a couple of hours in that fair with him, and I didn't know either. So again, I got upset. I went to the car because I couldn't do a scene there. I called my mom and then my sisters. Then I went back to the place where we were having lunch. Yeah, I think it was a New York, I don't know. To the restaurant where we were. And then that night, I'm like, why are you lying to me? And he said, well, I don't want you to get upset. So yes, it's true. Fotis had these things of chatting with women, looking at other women's, and I would get upset, but I didn't know until I found out.
Okay, so now let's go back to 80 Mountain Road.
Okay.
I understand that history and things that have said. We're here about what happened, Jennifer, all right?
Okay.
So tell us everything you saw. Explain it to Tacoma. So you see, why are we just getting that now? What am I
No,
doing?
I'm telling you.
What's here?
Okay,
All the details.
he asked for paper towel. He went inside. I think he went from the outside because I was outside. I said the paper towel is in the kitchen or it's upstairs because I put it in the bathroom, one of the bathroom. He went, grabbed it, and then at some point when I'm coming outside, he was walking from the Tacoma, like turning around from the Tacoma and walking towards me.
Which side of the Tacoma was he on? Driver's side?
Huh?
Driver's side? The driver's side?
The Tacoma was looking towards going out
Which side was he coming from?
from the co-pilot.
The passenger side.
The passenger.
So if it's a pickup truck, so there's only a driver and a passenger.
Okay, but it was from here, and this is the driver and the passenger, so he was coming from here. And then he walked and he grabbed me, he gave me a piece of paper over the toilet, paper towel, and I put it inside where I had the bag of cleaning, what I was cleaning the house.
Did you see spilled coffee?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you see a coffee cup?
No, because I didn't look inside the car.
Did the paper towel smell like coffee?
No, I didn't
So
smell it.
still, you're holding coffee sticks.
Pero I hold the paper towel, but I didn't smell it, I didn't see that,
But even still, you didn't smell coffee.
no.
How coffee is when you smell it sticks.
Yeah,
Smell it.
yeah.
What other
So,
detail can you
the
give?
other detail, before Daniel arrived, we were against a Tacoma. Can I put a, well, he was behind me. Like I pushed him like that, I turn around, I put my hands in his pocket, and he goes like this, and said, I'll give you the first max, something like that, he made like a joke. And that's when Daniel arrived.
Does that happen on the passenger side of the car?
Yes, yes, because the Tacoma was looking that way.
I'm gonna ask you a question, I'm just curious. My own mind. When you're on the passenger side of the car, you guys hold around?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's all I need.
Put a pause at 2:53:47. The defendant just indicated that her and Mr. Dulos were fooling around on the passenger side of what vehicle?
The Toyota Tacoma.
Now, at any point during your June 2nd, 2019 interview, did the defendant give this detail that her and Fotis were being physical with each other?
Not at all, no.
How about on June 6th, 2019?
No, not at all.
This is the house with the for garage. This door was not open. That's the home. Let's say it was here.
Conversation. Of the keys. Yeah, but.
So there's gonna be something
And then I
you're gonna hear.
I
I don't know what your evidence is, but I want you to hear something relating to the title.
something like that. So this is the driver's passenger, and we were here, and Babel comes, and I believe these cars were here, there.
So this is the passenger side of the Tacoma, and the door is open.
Yes. And,
All right, but John's gonna ask you,
yes,
are you guys having sex? You and Fotis?
not with our clothes on, but
You
it was.
were getting there, and then Pavel arrived?
Yeah, but we weren't, I don't think we were gonna have sex.
Okay.
But yes, we were,
So regardless, you guys were fooling around in a sense, actually,
yes,
in the passenger side of the Tacoma with the door open.
yes,
And that's at 80 mile on the 24th,
on the,
after Fotis is cleaned that car.
yes, because he gave me a paper, I went in and then I came out.
Okay. So, please continue.
But it arrives, they make like a joke, no, because like 3 weeks later or one before, Ariel found us in the kitchen. And since that day, we were making jokes like, okay, we're not doing anything.
Okay.
I think Ariel said something about a bicycle. He talks about a bicycle.
Okay, tell me about the rest.
No, he said, oh, you're riding bicycle, you're doing rides with a bicycle. And that's before they were talking, that was either before or after talking about 61 Sturbridge.
All right. What do you mean? Pavel says this today, on the 24th, the bicycle conversation comes up.
Yes.
So,
I'm almost
let me
sure.
just
But
make
then
sure I
we
understand.
I saw one on Tuesday, when the time, with the 3 of us.
Did Pavel say that he saw a bicycle in New Canaan on the 24th at 61 Sturbridge? No, I'm trying to understand. So there was a bicycle at this house. Which bike was it?
Not a motorcycle, a bicycle.
Bicycle?
Yes,
Okay.
for this whole bicycle.
What color is it?
Dark gray, brownish,
Dark gray brown with. Is that bike at Fort Jefferson?
it must be.
It must be.
It must be there.
Okay, tell me what Pavel said about the bicycle.
Something of riding, are you riding bicycle, or training, are you being Armstrong, something like that.
Do you know why I said that?
Because he was making a joke because he saw a bicycle.
Okay, so at 80 Mountain that day, there was a bicycle.
That was a
Was the bicycle in the Tacoma?
No, it was inside the house.
It was inside the house?
Not inside the house, in the garage. In the
You know
garage.
what I'm talking about?
Inside.
Just gonna pause it at 2:57:15. The defendant just indicated to you that she saw a bicycle in the garage of what residence?
80 Mountain Spring Road.
On June 2nd, 2019, the defendant indicated to you that she had seen Fotis Dulos' bicycle at 80 Mountain Spring Road?
No, not at all.
How about on June 6th, 2019? Did that detail come out?
No, it did not.
An old bicycle of Fotis that Fotis said that he had it since he was like 18. Because I have, when I went to pick up my stuff, I grabbed the 3 bicycles, 2 that are mine, and I have them with them, they're in the hotel. The mountain one, the street one, those 2 are mine, and a street of Fotis that is like great. But that one, I bought it, we bought these 2 together like last year.
Was that bicycle at 80 Mountain ever before?
Which
Using the bicycle that they're talking about, right?
I don't know, because I go to his house only when he shows it to some clients, in particular.
And no kind of bike is?
No, my son, it's at
Is there a
20.
Mercer?
I know it's supposed to be a good bicycle, but old,
Okay. So what else?
and that's it. And then at some point we all did.
All right, so now let's talk about the keys. I'm just gonna be open with you, just gonna tell you. Pavel sees the keys hanging in the passenger side door, and
Okay,
he arrives at 80 Mountain.
okay.
He and Fotis go for a walk, and they walk along the grass, that's coming up nice with the area where the road is. According to Pavel, that's when you leave, and when they come back, the keys are gone.
So
Suggesting that you took the keys.
So I'm just gonna pause it at 2:58:49. Detective Clabby was relating what Pavel Gumieni had stated during his interview. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
But that's not exactly what Mr. Gumieni said, correct?
That's correct. That was not what Mr. Guimeni had said.
What information did Mr. Gumieni provide during his interview?
Mr. Guimeni indicated that
Objection, hearsay.
Well, the question is, what did Mr. Gomez say during his 10-hour interview concerning the bicycle? And the objection is hearsay. Well, the panoramic view of what is being shown to the jury is relevant to the questions that are being asked of the defendant. So then in this court, you offer for the truth, but how the police are going to interrogate the defendant concerning the bike. Overruled.
What did Mr. Gumieni say regarding the keys?
Mr. Guimeni said that he was leaving, when he left 80 Mountain Spring Road, he left in the Raptor. As he was leaving, he saw the keys to his vehicle in the door of his vehicle. He thought for a moment to retrieve them. At that time, he decided that he was going to be coming right back. He left them, he left, and when he returned with Fotis Dulos in the Raptor, the keys were missing.
There's no reason why I took the keys and I left, but
So this is where the problem is. This is where it's problematic. This is where we come back to this. All the things that we talked about in here that were said by you, not once, sometimes twice, because we met 2 times before, that
but I said,
that were less than truthful. Now all of a sudden, you're taking the keys. You have to understand how that looks, okay? You do look very bad. Okay? You need to explain, why did you go along with this? Because it looks like you knew what you're saying.
he worked.
Explain, right?
Okay.
This is your chance to
On
explain.
Tuesday morning, after I dropped off the call, Pavel and Nico,
What day? What day? Tuesday?
28.
Okay.
After dropping off the call in the school, I come back. Fotis and Pavel, at some point they arrived to the kitchen. Fotis grabs a book, a notebook, tears those pages and says, we have to write timelines to remember what happened that day. Pavel said, I don't need to write because I'm gonna remember. And I said, I have to write because I'm not gonna remember. Because I don't know, I must have a very brilliant mind, I don't.
So did you write out your notes?
No, that's not my handwriting. That's.
So that's what I'm asking. Did you write out your notes? Remember?
I wrote one by mine were highlighted first. My arm, took people to school.
This one.
Exactly, that one. Took people to school, and like it was very basic,
Right.
the way I wrote it.
Right.
And he was the one saying, okay, Pavel, and you arrived, let's say 4:30, I don't remember what time he put Pavel. And Pavel said, you look like shit. to Fotis, like that he looked like shit.
Okay.
And Fotis said, "Oh, don't say that." Fotis told Barrett. That was like one thing that I was like, I don't know the meaning of it. Then he said, "Michi, you took the keys from Barrett's car." And I said, "Okay, yes." Like, it wasn't like important for me. Well, it wasn't important because first, I thought that to write a timer was to kind of remember what I did that day. Which if you see my timer has nothing. It was like alarm.
How else did you shoot keys and force it?
Fotis said to me.
Fotis
Fotis
said that?
said, "Michi, you took the keys." And I said, "Yes." And he said, and we have to go back and get the car or pick up the pickup truck, Barrett's car. And that's how he was going through the timeline. But he was the one writing.
And he's the one that said what? About the keys and the title.
He said, "Michi, you took the keys of Barrett's car." And I said, "Yes."
And what?
And then we had to go and pick up the car.
No.
Well, you gave me the keys.
It's a big difference. I'm trying to.
Well, I'm telling you that what I remember of him in the kitchen arguing with us or telling us in the kitchen with Barrett.
Okay, but there's already things that Pavel was bringing up that Fotis is saying, don't tell the police about, right? Like you look like shit, right?
Yes.
Oh, what about the keys? Did Fotis?
I don't think.
Okay, well, what we think happened, what we heard happen is Pavel said, and you took the keys, and Fotis said, we're gonna leave her out of it. We're gonna not tell the police, just like Fotis said, we're not gonna tell the police about Pavel saying, look, I don't know shit, I'm not gonna tell them that.
Oh, yes, that he said, but he didn't say don't tell the police. He said.
I understand, but the meaning was, no, the thing said, you don't want to tell the police, never get into the story. That's the situation you're in. When we sat down with you the first time, everything you told us was from this paper. Okay, all the untrue statements were from this paper. At this point, it doesn't matter who wrote it. You're the one that said it. I'm not the one that asked the answers to that. Okay, there was a reason why you followed this, and I'm calling it a script because that's pretty much what it is. All right, what you wrote a timeline. Okay, well, it's in here. All right, that's a timeline. This, no, this is a script prior to the 24th. And it just goes through. Michelle's what the order. But when we go through everything you told us the first time we met, it's 100% that page. So on the page next to ask for. You memorize it. And you're the one that regurgitated those words. Yeah, I wanted to include taking a shower together.
We can stop it now.
30442.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard that there isn't going to be a session on Monday. It's a state holiday. We are going to resume with the state's case on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. Have a safe weekend. Please do not discuss the case. Please do not follow media reports about the case.
Okay, 2 state holidays, 2 Mondays in a row. That's, well, I think isn't the Monday coming up a federal holiday? Let's take a look. Okay, oops, just a sec. Just a sec. Okay, let's trying to shut down tabs here. Okay, just taking a quick look here at the calendar. No, doesn't show a holiday on Monday on my my phone. Well, that doesn't mean that it's not. Okay, so the defense sounds like the defense is probably the state is probably going to rest on Tuesday. So we've got a long weekend again. That's okay. I can use the long weekend to do some housework and yard work, and Tuesday is trash day, so I can fill up the trash can. President's Day, that's what I was thinking. So it's not a state holiday, it's a federal holiday. So, okay, long weekend. And do you think the defense is going to have their report submitted by midnight? They've got 7 hours to go. Oh, that they were in danger of getting an ineffective assistance of counsel appeal. So I'm still not sure that that's really fair to the state. But it would be a real pain in the neck for them to do such a lengthy trial over again. But I really think that the defense is playing dirty there in trying to keep away from the yeah. The defense is being really sleazy and trying to play dirty, and the judge is not going to have any of that. And quite frankly, I think he ought to sanction them because that's clearly not ethical. So okay, let's see. I was looking at yeah, easy peasy sleazy. Okay, so Tuesday it is. I can't remember if there was anything. Oh, I saw that there were 2 young people were arrested in connection with that mass shooting in Kansas City, which we expected because they'd been taken into custody. The last word I heard, there was nothing about the third suspect. Let's see. Donald Trump must pay back $354 million. Barred from New York business for 3 years. Florida deputy mistakes falling acorn for gunshot, fires into patrol car with black man inside. That's. I can understand that. I've got some really noisy chestnuts that fall, so not good. And that looks like that for the news headlines at the moment. So I will bid you all Yeah, they were 2 juveniles, and I hope they catch the third person because, I mean, some people get in a disagreement, and 21 people end up at the hospital and one person ends up dead. That's just not acceptable. So, I mean, what were the juveniles doing with a firearm? I mean, I think that, maybe a juvenile, I can see a juvenile having a shooting, a rifle for going hunting, but I think minors should be precluded from having a gun. Just take a look at, yeah, I would expect it's probably gang related, or or drug deal. They're trying to buy drugs, and one person's a dealer, and they get in an argument over stuff, and but juveniles, in my opinion, should not have any gun that's capable of firing off 21 shots. That's pretty ridiculous. They can have a hunting rifle, but I think that firearms should be for adults. Look what happened with Jennifer Crumbly got convicted as manslaughter for the mass shooting that her son did. So, kids shouldn't have guns. Yeah, it was Missouri, and it's kind of Wild West. That's where you get the expression "get out of Dodge." Dodge, Kansas is where my aunt and uncle lived for many years, and that's where you get the expression "getting out of Dodge." So yes, it was very much the Wild West at one time. They might, of course, if it's gangs or drug related, it's entirely possible that it's an illegal firearm and nothing to do with the parents, unless the parents are bad characters themselves. So, okay, well, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you Tuesday. And until then, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.